Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to the U.S.-Taiwan Business Forum webinar today to discuss the many ways we can continue to strengthen the bilateral U.S.-Taiwan relationship. I believe it is essential to promote engagement, bilateral trade, and investments between Taiwan and Illinois and other Midwestern states. Taiwan and other friends in the Indo-Pacific have proven time and again to be critical partners to the United States and specifically to my state of Illinois. Partners we have learned from and leaned on. As we adapt to a world that is ever more connected and adapt to an era in technology that allows us half a world away to be there in an instant, this kind of friendship and bond becomes even more important. I'm grateful that our communities share such a bond as we work together in the name of common sense and for the sake of common good. In fact, Taiwan is Illinois' third largest trading partner for agricultural products. And it's not just our state that is benefiting.
Everyone.
Taiwan
I'm
is one of
pleased
the
to
top
welcome you
buyers
to
of
the
both
U.S.-Taiwan
corn
Business
and soybean
Forum
from the
webinar
United
today
States.
to discuss the
After
many
years
ways we
of
can
an
continue to strengthen
administration
the
that refused to
bilateral
engage with our
U.S.-Taiwan
international partners,
relationship.
I'm
I
glad to
believe
have
it
a
is
president who
essential to promote
understands the importance
engagement,
of
bilateral
relations and
trade,
promote
and investment
economic and
between
cultural
Taiwan
engagements
and
with
Illinois
the
and other
international
Midwestern
community.
states.
I believe we are
Taiwan and
stronger
other
and
friends
more
in the
secure if we
Indo-Pacific have
work
proven
together with
time
our
and
allies
again
and
to be
partners to
critical
confront
partners to the
challenges and
United
work
States
towards
and
solutions
specifically to
together.
my state of
We must
Illinois.
work to strengthen our
Partners we have
holistic
learned
relationships
from
with
and
Taiwan
leaned
and
on.
work towards a
As we
greater
adapt to a world that is
diplomatic and
ever more
economic
connected and
engagement.
adapt to an era
We
in
look forward to
technology that allows
opportunities
us
for
half a world
cooperative
away to be
integration
there in
between
an
the United
instant,
States and
this
Taiwan,
kind of
and
friendship and
potential
bond
ways to
becomes even
enhance an
more
already
important.
strong
I'm
bilateral
grateful that our
economic partnership.
communities share such a
Thank
bond as
you
we work
and have
together
a
in the name
wonderful
of common
conference.
sense and for the sake of common good. In fact, Taiwan is Illinois' third largest trading partner for agricultural products. And it's not just our state that is benefiting. Taiwan is one of the top buyers of both corn and soybean from the United States. After years of an administration that refused to engage with our international partners, I'm glad to have a president who understands the importance of our nation's ongoing economic and cultural engagements with the international community. I believe we are stronger and more secure when we work together with our allies and partners to confront challenges and work towards solutions
Hi, I'm
together.
Congressman
We
Steve
must work to
Chabot,
strengthen our
founder and
holistic
co-chair
relationships
of
with
the
Taiwan
Congressional
and work
Taiwan
towards
Caucus
greater
and the
diplomatic
lead
and
Republican
economic
on the House Foreign
engagement.
Affairs
I look
Committee's
forward to
Asia
opportunities to
Pacific
for
Subcommittee.
cooperating and
I want to
integration between
thank
the United
Director
States
General
and
Johnson
Taiwan
Chang
and
for
potential
inviting me
ways
to
to
speak at
enhance
this
an already
important event.
strong bilateral
The
economic partnership.
U.S.-Taiwan trade
Thank you and
relationship
have a
continues
wonderful
to be
conference.
strong. Taiwan is our 10th largest trading partner and the destination for over $30 billion in U.S. exports. Our relationship grew even stronger
Hi, I'm
during the
Congressman
COVID
Steve
administration
Chabot, founder and
because
co-chair of
our
the
people
Congressional
place our
Taiwan
advantage on
Caucus
Taiwan.
and the lead
We're
Republican on
moving
the
now
House
to
Foreign
examine and
Affairs
deepen
Committee's
our economic
Asia and Pacific
partnership.
Subcommittee.
One way to
I want
accomplish
to
that
thank
will be
Director General
negotiating
Johnson
free trade
Chang for
agreement
inviting me to
between the
speak at
U.S.
this
and
important
Taiwan.
event.
We've talked
The
about it for a long time.
U.S.-Taiwan
It's
trade
actually time
relationship
to do it.
continues to be
Now,
strong.
let me turn to
Taiwan
the
is
main
our
themes
10th
of this
largest
event:
trading
supply
partner and
chains
the
and
destination
agriculture.
for over
As
$30
countries
billion
and
in
companies look to
U.S. exports.
diversify their
Our
supply chains
relationship
away from
grew
China,
stronger during
they
this
should look to
administration.
Taiwan as a reliable partner with a skilled workforce and a commitment to democratic values. Further, Taiwanese firms export goods
One
from
way to
several
accomplish
countries in
that would be to
addition to Taiwan.
negotiate a free trade
Working
agreement
with these
between the U.S. and
manufacturers to
Taiwan.
source goods
We've
outside
talked
of
about it for
China
a long
will
time.
be even
It's
more
actually
important
time
as
to
we
do
seek
it.
to establish
Now, let me
resilient
turn to
supply
the two
chains.
themes of this
And
event,
Taiwan
supply
is a
chains and
critical player
agriculture.
in the global
As countries
technology
and
supply
companies look to
chain. This is
diversify their
particularly
supply
so with
chains away
respect
from
to
China,
semiconductors
they
that
should
will
look to
serve as
Taiwan as a
lifeblood for
reliable
our
partner
digital
with a
lives.
skilled
As
workforce,
free nations
and a
look to
commitment to
maintain
democratic
advantage over
values.
China in emerging
Further,
technologies,
Taiwanese firms
Taiwan's
export goods from
expertise
several
and
countries
cooperation
in
will be
addition to
invaluable
Taiwan.
to that effort.
Working with
With
these
respect to
manufacturers
agriculture,
to source
I'm pleased
goods
that this
outside of
event
China
is being held
will
in
be
the
even
Midwest,
more
since
important
this
as
part
we
of the
seek to
country is a
establish
key
resilient
source of
supply chains.
agricultural exports.
And Taiwan
My
is a
constituents
critical
in
player in
Southwest
the global
Ohio
technology
and folks
supply
throughout the
chain.
Midwest
This is
appreciate the
particularly
importance
so with
of
respect to
trade to our economy.
semiconductors, which
With
serve
that in
as the
mind, I
backbone
want
for
to
our
commend
digital
President
lives.
Tsai
As
for
free nations
removing
look to
long-standing
maintain their
barriers
edge
to
over
U.S.
China
beef
in
and pork
emerging
imports.
technologies,
This
Taiwan's
decision will
expertise
enhance
and
market access
cooperation
for
will be
farmers in the
invaluable
Midwest
to that effort.
and reduce the
With
price of
respect to
high-quality
agriculture,
agricultural
I'm
products
pleased that this
for
event is
Taiwanese
being held in the
consumers.
Midwest,
We should
since
take
this
every
part of the country
opportunity to
is a
expand
key
our
source
trade.
of agricultural
Restrictions on
exports.
pork and
My
beef are
constituents in
major
Southwest
obstacles for
Ohio and
negotiation
folks
of
throughout the
free trade
Midwest
agreement.
appreciate the
It's critical
importance
that
of
the U.S.
trade to
take
our
the
economy.
opportunity
With
given
that in
us by
mind,
the Tsai
I want to
administration
commend
to
President
reach the
Tsai for
long-sought goal of
removing
an
long-standing
FTA
barriers to
between the
U.S.
U.S.
beef
and
and pork
Taiwan and
imports.
beginning
This
working
decision
towards
will
one right
enhance
now.
market
With that in
access for
mind,
farmers in
I
the
will be
Midwest
encouraging the
and
new
reduce
U.S.
the price
trade
of
representative,
high-quality
Catherine
agricultural
Tai, who
products
was
for
just confirmed
Taiwanese
by the Senate
consumers.
to act
We should take
immediately
every
to
opportunity
reciprocate
to expand
Taiwan's
our
gesture
trade
of
ties.
goodwill. As
Restrictions
a
on
longtime
pork or beef
supporter
were
of
a
the United
major
States-Taiwan
obstacle to
bilateral
negotiations for a free
relationship,
trade
I
agreement.
believe now is
It's
an
critical
excellent
that the U.S.
opportunity
take
to
the
build on our growing
opportunity given
ties,
us by the Tsai
including in the
administration
economic
to
sphere.
reach the
I
long-sought
wish you
goal
all
of
the
an
best and
FTA
hope that the
between the U.S.
discussions you
and
have here
Taiwan
will
and
serve as
beginning
a
working
catalyst
towards
for
one
even
right
deeper
now.
links
With that in
between our
mind,
two
I will be
peoples.
encouraging
Thank
the
you.
new U.S. Trade Representative, Catherine Tai, who was just confirmed by the Senate, to act immediately to reciprocate Taiwan's gesture of goodwill. As a longtime supporter of the United States-Taiwan bilateral relationship, I
Good
believe
morning,
now is
everyone,
an
and thank you
excellent
for allowing me the
opportunity
opportunity to
grow
join you for
ties,
this important
including
discussion.
in the
While I
economic
regret
sphere.
I can't
I
join
wish you
you
all the
all
best
for
and
today's
hope that
forum
the
in person,
discussions you have
I'm
here
honored to have
will
the
serve as
opportunity
a
to highlight a
catalyst for
few
even
ways we
deeper
can
links
strengthen our
between
political
our
and
two
economic
peoples.
ties in the year
Thank you.
ahead. The forthcoming TSMC facility in Arizona is a great example of how Taiwan and the United States can work together to better secure our critical
Good morning,
supply
everyone,
chains,
and thank you
particularly
for
when it comes
allowing
to
me the
semiconductors.
opportunity to
And I
join
look
you for
forward
this
to
important
building on this
discussion.
first step to
While I
increase our
regret
collective
I can't join
resilience
you all for
across
today's
supply
forum in
chains critical
person,
to our mutual
I'm honored
defense
to
in the
have the
years to come.
opportunity to highlight a
The
few
single
ways
most
we can
important
strengthen our
step we can take
political and
right now,
economic ties
however,
in the year
is to
ahead.
pursue a
The
U.S.-Taiwan
forthcoming
free trade
TSMC
agreement
facility in
to take our
Arizona is a
economic
great example of
relationship
how
to the next
Taiwan
level.
and
The
the United States
U.S.-Taiwan
can work
FTA would
together
not
to
only
better
expand
secure
prosperity
our
for
critical
both our
supply
nations,
chains,
but also
particularly when
send
it
a
comes to
clear and
semiconductors. And
unmistakable
I look forward
signal
to building on
to
this
the
first
world
step to
that the
increase
United
our
States
collective resilience
stands by its friends
across
in
supply
Taiwan.
chains
I hope
critical
that
to our
soon we
mutual
can have these
defense in the
meetings in
years to
person
come.
in
The
America, and that
single
I can
most
finally
important
visit
step we can
Taiwan
take
and
right
enjoy
now,
all that it
however,
has to
is to
offer.
pursue
In
a
the meantime, thank you
U.S.-Taiwan free
sincerely
trade
for
agreement
inviting me to
to
speak.
take our
I'm
economic
excited
relationship to the
for the
next level.
tremendous
The
promise of
U.S.-Taiwan
ever-expanding
FTA would not only expand
U.S.-Taiwan links.
prosperity for
Thank
both
you
our
all.
nations, but also send a clear and unmistakable signal to the world that the United States stands by its friends in Taiwan.
Good
I hope
morning,
that
and
soon we can
welcome
have
to
these
the
meetings in person
Taiwan-US
in
Business
America,
Forum
that I
in
can
the
finally
Midwest
visit
webinar.
Taiwan and enjoy all that it has
I
to offer.
apologize I won't
In
be
the
able to
meantime,
join you
thank you
all for the
sincerely
next
for
couple of
inviting me to
hours.
speak. I'm
But on
excited
behalf of
for the
Indiana,
tremendous
it
promise
is
of
my pleasure
ever-expanding
to share a few
U.S.-Taiwan
words
links.
as you
Thank
get
you all.
started. Last month, I had a virtual meeting with Director General Johnson. Not too long after
Good
he
morning,
arrived in
and welcome
Chicago.
to the Taiwan-US
And we shared a
Business
great
Forum in the
conversation
Midwest
as I welcomed
webinar.
him to his new post.
I apologize I won't be
Both
able
of
to
us are
join
looking
you all
forward
for
to
the next couple of
Indiana's and the
hours.
Taipei Economic
But
and
on behalf
Cultural
of
Office
Indiana,
continues
it is my
to
pleasure
strengthen
to
and grow
share
our
a few
economic
words as you get
relationships,
started.
including agricultural opportunities.
Last month, I had a virtual meeting with Director General
Indiana and
Johnson,
Taiwan
not
are
too long
fortunate
after
to
he
share
arrived
a
in Chicago.
long-standing, cherished relationship.
And we shared a great
In
conversation
fact, if
as I
I'm not
welcomed him
mistaken,
to his new
Indiana
post.
was the first state
Both
to
of us are
establish
looking
a
forward to
sister-state
Indiana's
relationship
and the
with
Taipei
Taipei.
Economic and Cultural
And that's
Office
something we're very proud
continuing
of.
to strengthen
And it
and
was
grow our
done by
economic
design.
relationship,
Today,
including
our two-way trade
agricultural
relationship
opportunities.
continues to be be an important one for Indiana
Indiana
and
and
the US.
Taiwan are
Indiana is
fortunate to
home
share
more
a
than 1,000
long-standing,
foreign-owned
cherished
business
relationship.
operations,
In fact, if
including
I'm not
6
mistaken,
Taiwanese
Indiana
companies.
was the first
And
state to
together they all
establish a sister
support
state relationship
over
with Taipei.
200,000 Hoosier jobs.
And that's something we're very
And that is a
proud
number
of.
that continues
And it was
to
done
grow.
by
The
design.
Indiana Corn Marketing
Today,
Council
our two-way
and
trade
the Indiana
relationship
Soybean
continues
Alliance
to be an important
signed a
one
2-year
for Indiana
agreement to sell
and the
more than
U.S.
$2 billion
Indiana is
worth
home
of
to more than
corn and
1,000
soybean
foreign-owned
to
business
Taiwan.
operations, including
Indiana
6
is very
Taiwanese
interested
companies.
in exploring
And
additional
together they all
opportunities for
support
economic
over
and agricultural
200,000
collaboration
Hoosier
in the
jobs.
future as well.
And that is a number that
Last
continues
year,
to grow.
Indiana exported
The Indiana Corn
$207
Marketing
million
Council
worth
and
of
the Indiana
goods to
Soybean
Taiwan,
Alliance
while
signed a 2-year
importing more than
agreement to
$1
sell more
billion
than
in goods
$2
from
billion
Taiwan.
worth of corn and
So as you can
soybean
see, the
to
importance of the
Taiwan.
relationship cannot be
And
overstated.
Indiana is very
Not only is
interested in
it critical
exploring
to the
additional
overall health and
opportunities for
prosperity of
economic
our
and
economy,
agricultural
it's
collaboration in
vital
the
to the
future as
livelihood of
well.
Indiana's farming families.
Last year, Indiana exported $207
This
million
partnership
worth of
extends
goods to
beyond the world of
Taiwan,
agriculture.
while importing more than
Hoosier
$1
frontline
billion in
workers
goods
and I
from
across the
Taiwan.
state are
So as you can see,
appreciative
the
of your
importance of our
generosity
relationship
that you
cannot be
showed us during the
overstated.
peak of the pandemic.
Not only is it critical to the
The
overall
surgical
health and
masks and the
prosperity of
N95
our
masks that you
economy,
sent us last year
it's
were
vital
such
to the
needed
livelihood of
gifts
Indiana's
to help
farming
protect
families.
Hoosier frontline workers. It is
This
so encouraging to
partnership
see these
extends
acts
beyond
of
the
kindness
world
as
of
partners
agriculture.
from all over the world
Hoosier
step up
frontline
to help
workers
one
and
another.
I across the state
So thank you,
are so
Director
appreciative of
General
your
Johnson,
generosity that you
for
showed us
TECO's
during the peak of the
partnership.
pandemic.
It is one of
The
Indiana's
surgical
best,
masks and the
we do not
N95 masks that you
take it
sent
for
us last year
granted.
were such needed gifts
I would like
to
to
help
close
protect
things by saying the Indiana-Taiwan relationship
It
is
is so
built on
encouraging to
mutual
see
respect,
these acts of
shared
kindness
values,
as partners
economic
from all
success,
over the world
and perhaps
step up
most
to
of
help
all,
one
friendship.
another. So
Thank you for your
Director
investment in
General
Indiana, the
Johnson,
Midwest,
for
the
TECO's
United States,
partnership.
and in the lives
It is
of
one of
farmers nationwide.
Indiana's best, and we do
And I'm
not
optimistic about
take it
what's
for
in store
granted.
for our two economies, and I look
I would like to
forward
close
to
things by
building a
saying
brighter
the
future
Indiana-Taiwan
together.
relationship is built on mutual respect, shared values, economic success, and perhaps most of all, friendship. Thank you for your investment in Indiana, the Midwest, the United States, and in the lives of farmers nationwide. And I'm optimistic about what's in store for our two economies, and I look forward to building a brighter future together.
Hello, this is Iowa Lieutenant Governor Adam Gregg. It's an honor to serve in this role, and it's an honor to speak before you today. Governor Kim Reynolds
this is Iowa
sends her
Lieutenant
regards.
Governor Adam Gregg.
Thank you to
It's
the
an honor to
Taipei
serve in this
Economic and
role,
Cultural
and it's
Office
an
in
honor to
Chicago
speak
for
before you
organizing
today.
this event
Governor
and for
Kim
inviting me to
Reynolds
address
sends
the
her
audience.
regards.
I've had the
Thank you
pleasure
to
of
the Taipei
enjoying a
Economic and
friendship with the
Cultural
Taipei
Office in
delegation
Chicago
for a
for
number of
organizing
years.
this event.
In late
And for inviting me to
2018, I had
address
the
the
honor of
audience.
hosting a meeting,
I've had
including
the
a
pleasure
signing
of
ceremony
enjoying
for
a
a U.S.
friendship with the
soybean
Taipei
purchase
delegation for
with
a
the
number of
Taiwan
years.
Agricultural Trade
In late
Goodwill
2018,
Mission.
I had the honor of hosting
Obviously,
a meeting,
the world
including a
has
signing
changed a
ceremony
great
for
deal
a
since
U.S.
then,
soybean purchase
and I don't think I need
with
to
the
convince
Taiwan
anyone of
Agricultural
that
Trade
fact.
Goodwill Mission.
But one thing that has
Obviously,
remained
the world
constant
has
is
changed a
Iowa's
great
commitment
deal
to
since
cultivating
then,
a
and I don't think
positive
I
and
need to
mutually
convince
beneficial
anyone of that
relationship
fact.
with Taiwan.
But one thing that
We've
has
supported
remained
frequent
constant
exchanges
is
of
Iowa's
officials and
commitment to
trade and investment
cultivating a positive
delegations.
and mutually beneficial
Iowa has maintained
relationship with
representation
Taiwan.
in Taiwan for several
We've supported
years.
frequent exchanges of
And we have
officials
certainly
and trade
benefited
and
from
investment
bilateral trade and
delegations.
investment exchanges
Iowa has
between us.
maintained representation in
Taiwan is a
for
small
several
island,
years.
but mighty in its
And we have
economic
certainly
capacity.
benefited from bilateral
It has a
trade and
high per
investment
capita
exchanges
income and high
between us.
purchasing rate.
Taiwan
is
small
located
island,
within a
but
dynamic
mighty in its
region of the
economic
world.
capacity.
In Taiwan's
It has a high
rule of
per
law
capita income
and
and high
adherence to
purchasing
sound
rate.
trade principles are
Taiwan
just
is
two
located
examples of
within
our
a
common
dynamic
ground
region of the
and
world.
common values.
In Taiwan's rule
These
of
positive
law
attributes
and
have allowed
adherence to
both
sound trade
sides to enjoy a
principles
fruitful
are just two
relationship.
examples of our common ground
Taiwan is
and
the
common
11th
values.
largest purchaser of Iowa
These
products,
positive
and the
attributes
U.S.
have
is one
allowed
of the
both
top
sides to
consumers of
enjoy a
Taiwan-made
fruitful
goods.
relationship.
Taiwan's
Taiwan is the
Formosa Group has
11th
major
largest
investments
purchaser
in
of
Iowa
Iowa products,
manufacturing, and
and the
we
U.S. is one
applaud
of the
their
top
success.
consumers of Taiwan-made
Of course,
goods.
none of this success would be
Taiwan's
possible without
Formosa Group
both
has
sides
major investments in
identifying and
Iowa
encouraging
manufacturing,
areas
and
of
we
complementary
applaud their
cooperation.
success. Of course,
Just look at our
none of the
connections
success
in the
would be
area of
possible
agriculture,
without
for
both sides
example.
identifying and
We
encouraging
look forward
areas
to the
of
discussion all of you will have
complementary
during
cooperation.
tomorrow's session.
Just look at our
And
connections
we
in the area
appreciate
of
Taiwan's
agriculture, for
purchases of
example.
Iowa's varied
We
manufactured
look forward
goods.
to the discussion all of you will
In
have during
closing,
tomorrow's
I'd like to
session.
thank the organizers
And
of
we
this forum once
appreciate
again
Taiwan's
for bringing us
purchases of
together
Iowa's varied
to celebrate the
manufactured
close
goods.
relationship we have with
In closing,
Taiwan.
I'd like to thank the
I
organizers
welcome the
of
day
this
when we can
forum
be
once
together again
for
in
bringing us
person to
together
exchange
to
ideas
celebrate
and
the
explore
close
new ways
relationship
to
we have
strengthen
with
this
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Long-standing friendship. I welcome the day when we can be together again in person to exchange ideas and explore new ways to strengthen this long-standing friendship. Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Everyone? Yeah, I hope you can hear me well. If you have issues about hearing, please let us know.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we have about a few seconds to proceed our program. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Johnson Chang, Director General of Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago. Welcome to join us for this webinar, Taiwan-US Business Forum in the Midwest. As we can see here in Chicago, Midwest is a strong base of US agriculture products and heartland of American manufacturing industry. The Midwest is also the leader of future technology. For example, 3 of the 8 new federal quantum centers and institutes are located in the state of Illinois. All these factors have laid out a solid foundation for Taiwan-US business partnership and promotion of prosperity and values we all believe in. Our 2-day webinar will explore those opportunities. Today, we are extremely grateful for a great lineup of many distinguished speakers from business, governments, and academic research institutions. Across Chicago, the Midwest region, Washington, D.C., California, and Taipei, to share their perspectives on Taiwan-US business cooperation opportunities in global high-tech supply chains. We deeply appreciate your participation, and many registered viewers watch live now on YouTube. Before we move on for opening remarks, please let me especially appreciate U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth from Illinois, Congressman Steve Chabot from Ohio, Congressman Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin, Indiana Lieutenant Governor Susanna Crouch, and Iowa Lieutenant Governor Adam Gregg for kindly offering their video remarks in support of this webinar and a stronger Taiwan-US economic partnership. We have played their video remarks earlier, hosted online for viewers to watch, and we'll replay it later as we proceed along today's program. And now, please let me shift the gear to first invite Taiwan's top envoy to the United States, Ambassador Bi-Kim Hsiao, for opening remarks. She is Taiwan's first female representative to America, which is phenomenal in our history. We have the honor of having her to speak to us from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Ambassador Hsiao.
Well, greetings, and thank you, Director General Jiang, Chairman Xu, Congressman Foster, Congressman Style, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to join the Taiwan-US Business Forum in the Midwest. Having studied in the Midwest and spent my wonderful college years in the Midwest, I have a personal affinity for this region. And I am so delighted to see that business leaders with a significant presence in this region, prominent experts and opinion leaders, can join us all today to discuss the important topics, including global high-tech supply chains and the agricultural food industry. As the U.S.'s 9th largest trading partner in the world and the 8th largest global market for American agricultural products, Taiwan has many benefits to offer for American and Taiwanese businesses to grow more prosperous together. Especially as both of our businesses are encountering opportunities as well as challenges resulting from the pandemic, we need to work together to enhance our cooperation during the restructuring of global supply chains. Today's webinar is the beginning of our efforts to bring both of our businesses closer and make them stronger. Taiwan's ready to actively respond to President Biden's call for closer cooperation with like-minded partners on global supply chains. A few weeks ago, I joined my colleagues in a video conference with U.S. administration to discuss our cooperation in global supply chains for semiconductors. That event continues the discussion on supply chain security and resilience from the Economic Prosperity Partnership Dialogue held last November, aimed to coordinate our efforts to promote business engagement in areas such as technology, 5G, public health, infrastructure, investment screening, and women's economic empowerment. We may look into cooperation opportunities for electric vehicles in our next round of our business dialogue following the EPPD initiative. When it comes to the information and communications technology scene, Taiwan offers integrated supply chains and significant manufacturing capabilities for hardware. Taiwan's ICT products accounted for 17% of global market share in 2019, second to the United States at 44%. 13 of the top 100 global technology leaders are Taiwanese companies, which is the second highest ranking after the United States. In some sectors, such as foundry, IC design, packaging, and testing, Taiwan companies actually enjoy 50% of global share. This means huge business activity for both of us. The production value of Taiwan's semiconductor industry registered $115 billion last year, growing a considerable 20% annually. And we're expecting Taiwan GDP growth beyond 4% in the coming year. At the same time, over the past 2 years, we have seen business diversify their supply chains to more reliable and sustainable partners. During this process of business relocation, many Taiwanese businesses have come back home. Since 2019, over 700 Taiwanese companies have returned to Taiwan, generating about $41 billion of investment for Taiwan. And clearly, those business voices tell us that a good ecosystem helps their businesses grow and stay. If we don't protect and develop the business ecosystem well, the new technology developments may invoke major risks to important public interests, our liberal democracies, and this also has national security implications. So it is in Taiwan's fundamental interest to keep an ecosystem that is open, democratic, and sustainable for business operations to serve its customers. In this regard, Taiwan has no better business partner than the United States, since both of us share common values and long-standing security interests. The Midwest is the heartland of American manufacturing. We hope this relocation process also creates more business opportunities for Taiwan and the Midwest. There are some Taiwan investors continuing to work closely with their American partners to bring prosperity to local communities in this part of the land. As we can see from today's great lineup of panelists, Taiwanese businesses across different sectors have shown greater interest in getting the supply chains closer to their American customers. We would like to see this webinar initiate more cooperation between Taiwan and U.S. companies, especially in the Midwest. And again, thank you for having me as part of this discussion. I want to again thank Director General Chiang for this very important initiative. And please also let me take this opportunity to acknowledge all our colleagues in Chicago and their wonderful efforts in organizing this. I look forward to exchanging views with you. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Xiao. Now, let me invite Chairman Junior Shi for opening remarks. Chairman Shi has started his successful homeware manufacturing business in Chicago area from about 40 years ago. In recognition of his long-standing contributions to Taiwanese American community, Taiwan President Tsai has recruited him to be her policy advisor, especially on overseas community affairs and business promotion. Now, please, Chairman Shi.
And thank you, to General Director invited to join this seminar. I'm looking forward to learn from everyone. I hope this seminar will inspire more cooperation between the U.S. In 1970, I was a young man starting a family, dreaming we moved to the United States in 1978. That started U.S. acrylic goal of the becoming the top of the acrylic product from Taiwan to the United States. We achieved the goal in a few short years, but then continue to expand. We invest in a factory in Northbrook, Illinois, and become one of the warehouse manufacturer of the plastic houseware. We have some of the largest in the United States, such as Walmart, Container Store, Crane Barrel, and Williams Roma, and many more. After 40 years in business, we are still growing. I have never forgotten our humble without the product quality and the skill force from Taiwan. We would not have success in our earlier days, would not have the opportunity we have today. During the last 40 years, I have also been very active in the World Chinese Chamber of Commerce and the Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce in North America. I have been a president of the Chicago and the North America of the TCCNA and was secretary of the World Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce in 2000. I have met many good friends from the many of them have story like mine. In 2000, I created the Friend of Taiwan Foundation with the support from many of. We share a deep desire to share more of our Chinese culture and heritage and give back to our local community. We have funded student exchange culture event, provide laptop to the kids in need, and more. Last year, as we saw the coming and the shortage of the PPE, we were purchase over 1 million face masks from Taiwan and to a healthcare facility all throughout the start of the Illinois from TECO and the government office. Taiwan has been one of those strong economy going into the coming out of the 2020 pandemic. But that Taiwan is also just getting. I hope we can find to create U.S.-Taiwan relationship and most to make more lifelong friendship between this.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Xi. I see Congressman Brian Stale online already. We are honored of having Congressman Brian Stale from Wisconsin to say a few words about the Taiwan-U.S. business cooperation and global high-tech supply chains. Taiwan's leading manufacturing company, Foxconn, has significant business presence in the state of Wisconsin. Welcome, Congressman.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on. It's great to see so many people interested in both the relationship between Taiwan and the Midwest. As many of you on this call know, both Taiwan and the Midwest are known for our strength in manufacturing. It's particularly exciting to see my friends from Foxconn on this call. who are leading that charge here in the state of Wisconsin and strengthening our relationship between Taiwan and the United States. One of my roles in Congress is to continue to strengthen our relationships with our allies across the globe, and in particular, Taiwan. It's a country that I think we have a lot of similarities with, in particular in the Midwest, not only as it relates to manufacturing, but as well as core democratic principles. And so I'm excited to participate in today's call and continue to build the strong relationship between Taiwan and the United States. As some of you on this call know, I used to spend a lot of time in East Asia, working in the manufacturing sector at that time for a company called Regal Beloit Corporation with operations across the globe. And so very familiar with the time zones that we're balanced between on this call. But more than anything, just appreciate you having me on and look forward to continuing working to strengthen our relationship between the Midwest and Taiwan. And again, good to see so many of my good friends, in particular, Dr. Jay Lee from Foxconn on this call. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. I was told that Congressman Bill Foster would join us later, so now I have the honor to invite Dr. Juan de Pablo, Vice President of University of Chicago, to say a few words. Dr. de Pablo is well respected for his great expertise in science strategy innovation, especially in the area of semiconductors. Dr. de Pablo's views can help us know more about the great talents the university offers in support of business cooperation. Please, Doctor.
Thank you very much. I am very grateful for the invitation to participate in this exciting event to encourage business opportunities in the high-tech sectors of research and innovation between the Chicago region, the Midwest, and Taiwan. Thank you, Director General. In my role as Vice President of the University of Chicago, we aim to connect the science, engineering, and innovation strengths of the university with national and global partners. Our ecosystem includes several of the world's great universities here in the Midwest, as well as 2 Department of Energy laboratories, Argonne and Fermilab, which the University of Chicago manages and operates, and whose history of scientific enterprise has led to some of the world's important advances. Forefront scientific and engineering research and innovation involve a deep interaction of multiple disciplines to address the grand challenges facing humankind. University of Chicago and our partner national laboratories have an approach to science, technology, and innovation that requires partnerships on a global scale. And we do this through active collaborations with academic institutions across the world, international companies, and through our 4 global centers. We also do that by hosting students and researchers from all over the world, and several hundred of them from Taiwan alone. There are several areas of innovation that I want to highlight for this event. In the field of semiconductors, pioneering research is taking place at our labs and universities, both in terms of developing the next generation of semiconductor materials, and also in terms of manufacturing and characterizing such materials at scale. In the domain of artificial intelligence, key advances emanating from our universities and national laboratories are changing scientific discovery and technology. They are delivering disruptive advances and new modes of thinking that create impact. Argonne will soon host the fastest computer in the world, and we are working closely with several dozen companies in multiple sectors, informing how they apply AI to research and development in materials, semiconductors, medical devices, diagnostics, and of course, precision agriculture. Related to that, we're also pioneering advanced platform technologies to advance applied science. We're developing, for example, autonomous laboratories that utilize robotics and AI, and that will completely change the speed and efficacy of how science is pursued from basic discovery to advanced manufacturing, including translation. And of course, as was mentioned earlier, quantum information sciences. A very exciting new frontier for technology has emerged in quantum information sciences and engineering. The Chicago area is the hub for quantum activity in the US. Chicago has the largest concentration of quantum scientists in the US, and the Chicago Quantum Exchange provides a way to partner with the region's universities, companies, and national labs. This is the next frontier for computing and communications, and Chicago is the place to be, part of the extraordinary activity occurring in this area. Let me conclude by saying that the University of Chicago, the national labs, and our partners in the region are all looking forward to working with you to build productive partnerships to advance science and innovation. This event is a great opportunity to think about how we can build businesses and business opportunities that leverage the scientific strengths, research infrastructure, the talent, and the innovation that abound in the Chicago region and Taiwan. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you here today.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Now, let me have another Wisconsin speaker for opening remarks. Secretary and CEO, Missy Hughes of Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, representing the state of Wisconsin to talk about the Taiwan-US business cooperation. Welcome, Secretary Hughes.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having us here today. And I'm so glad to echo the comments of Congressman Steele about Wisconsin and our relationships with Taiwan. I want to specifically thank the partnership we have with Taiwan through the TICO office in Chicago. We just met a few weeks ago to discuss opportunities, and there are so many exciting ways that we can work together in Wisconsin and throughout the Midwest. So I just want to quickly, if I may, tell you, for those of you who don't know, a little bit about Wisconsin. And really this echoes what Congressman Steele was saying, which is, we have a central location in North America, which enables transportation within 24 hours throughout the entire country and into Mexico and Canada. So having this central location with good transportation creates an easy landing pad for businesses. We have a workforce that is excited to work hard and has highly skilled education that we've provided them. We have wonderful communities for businesses and really close ties between our businesses and our education. We have apprentice programs, technical college, and world-class research institutions. And again, echoing Congressman Steele, seeing my colleague, Dr. Lee, here from Foxconn, I know he has worked very closely with our technical colleges and our universities as Foxconn has landed here in Wisconsin. We have advanced manufacturing, aerospace, water technology, food and beverage production, biohealth and life sciences, and energy and power and controls as our key industries. And really that tells the story of Wisconsin's manufacturing base. We can make things here in Wisconsin and help you make things. We're ready to be the home for Taiwanese companies. And most importantly, WEDC is ready to help you. So let us know what we can do to assist you. We look forward to working with you, and I look forward to more conversation today and tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Secretary. Now, please welcome Mark Dantzler, President and the CEO of Illinois Manufacturing Association, representing 4,000 members of the manufacturing industry in the state of Illinois, to provide a business voice, especially from the manufacturing base of stronger Taiwan-US business cooperation and supply chains. Please, President Dantzler.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see all of you this morning at the Taiwan-US Midwest Business Forum. I'd like to first thank Director General Johnson Chong and his team at TICO for the wonderful partnership, especially over the last year. Governor Pritzker asked me last year to chair his equipment task force during the pandemic, and our Taiwanese friends generously donated 10,000 N95 masks and 600,000 additional masks for our healthcare facilities. Thank you for this very generous act of kindness. I also greatly enjoyed the potted orchid set by the former Director General Wong in September to celebrate Double 10 National Day and your 109th birthday. Illinois' manufacturing sector proudly employs about 550,000 men and women today, and today's manufacturing sector is diverse, sustainable, and increasingly high-tech. Manufacturers have created an innovation engine in Illinois that is literally reshaping the world around us. New technologies and processes have brought us energy independence, new life-saving medicines, and more efficient automobiles, just to name a few. Every day, manufacturers across the nation are transforming their operations to achieve greater efficiency, productivity, and competitiveness while working to create a better tomorrow. Manufacturers in Illinois and across the nation and across the world are leading the charge in the digital economy of the 21st century. Machine learning and artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, the Internet of Things, robotics, 5G, cloud computing, augmented reality, and more. Manufacturers are literally moving at the speed of light, and our sector in Illinois contributes to the single largest share of the state's economy. Illinois has a long and proud partnership and collaboration with Taiwan. Just 2 years ago in 2019, Governor Pritzker announced a $2.2 billion commitment to buy Illinois corn and soybeans. I note this because I note the agricultural issue because Illinois' leading manufacturing sector is food and beverage, both in terms of the number of jobs and economic output. So our farmers and our manufacturers have a very special relationship. Illinois is the largest exporting state in the Midwest and the 5th largest nationally. Our exports to Taiwan totaled $823 million in 2019. Taiwan is our 15th largest export market, and Illinois ranks 5th among states in exports to Taiwan. When you talk about imports, our imports from Taiwan totaled $2.5 billion in 2019, an 82% increase since 2009. Taiwan is our 12th largest import market and only ranks 3rd among all 50 states in imports from Taiwan. We have a wonderful opportunity to really build on this relationship in Illinois and the Midwest as we move forward and emerge from this global pandemic. I'd invite our Taiwanese partners to look at Illinois and the Midwest because of the advantages that we have in our states. And Illinois companies can explore these partnerships and relationships with manufacturing and technology in Taiwan. Just a few of the things that we have going in Illinois. Chicago is a world-class city. We have a global airport, making it very easy to travel between the two countries. We have a robust transportation system with roads, air, waterways, and rail. Illinois is the only state in the nation that's home to all 7 Class 1 railroads. We have a skilled workforce with great colleges and universities, 2 national laboratories, as you heard a few minutes ago. The University of Illinois graduates more undergraduate engineers than any other school in the nation, and the 3rd most Asian students. We have access to water, low cost and abundant energy. And if the global pandemic has taught us anything, it's the need for a strong American and Illinois manufacturing sector and strong partnerships across the world. So there are many opportunities for our state's manufacturers that are looking to relocate supply chains, build new supply chains, bring manufacturing back to the United States, or find partners abroad. So again, many wonderful opportunities to work with our friends in Taiwan. And again, it's a great pleasure to be invited this morning, and wish you all the best with the rest of the program. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for all your opening remarks. Before we turn to today's panel discussion, which will be moderated by President Rupert Hammond Chambers of U.S.-Taiwan Business Council, let's have U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth from the host state of Illinois to give her short remarks to welcome all the panelists.
Hi, everyone.
The U.S.-Taiwan Business Forum webinar today to
discuss
discuss the many ways we can continue to strengthen the bilateral U.S.-Taiwan relationship. I believe it is essential to promote engagement, bilateral trade, and investments between Taiwan and Illinois and other Midwestern states. Taiwan and other friends in the Indo-Pacific have proven time and again to be critical partners to the United States and specifically to my state of Illinois. Partners we have learned from and leaned on. As we adapt to a world that is ever more connected and adapt to an era in technology that allows us half a world away to be there in an instant, this kind of friendship and bond becomes even more important. I'm grateful that our communities share such a bond as we work together in the name of common sense and for the sake of common good. In fact, Taiwan is Illinois' 3rd largest trading partner for agricultural products. And it's not just our state that is benefiting. Taiwan is one of the top buyers of both corn and soybean from the United States. After years of an administration that refused to engage with our international partners, I'm glad to have a president who understands the importance of our nation's ongoing economic and cultural engagements with the international community. I believe we are stronger and more secure when we work together with our allies and partners to confront challenges and work towards solutions together. We must work to strengthen our holistic relationships with Taiwan and work towards greater diplomatic and economic engagement. I look forward to opportunities for cooperating and integration between the United States and Taiwan, and potential ways to enhance an already strong bilateral economic partnership. Thank you, and have a wonderful conference.
Thank you. Now, let me shift the gear and turn to Rupert to have the floor for the panel discussion. By the way, if you see me raise this Taiwan Bear sign, which means that we need to run faster to make sure that all the panelists have a chance to present their views. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rupert.
Johnson, thank you so much indeed. It's such a pleasure to join you all today for all those speakers who gave their opening remarks. Kim, it's always fantastic to see you, Taiwan's ambassador to the United States. And Johnson, a hearty congratulations to you for your new post in Chicago. I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to do a superb job serving your country's interests in the Midwest of our great republic and all the important commerce that's done by the states in that part of the country. We have an extremely deep bench of speakers today. So just a couple of points of guidance. Please forgive me for not giving extended bio introductions for all our speakers. I think if I do that, it will take up most of the time. So I'm going to be quite brief in my introductions. I would note for all our listeners and viewers this morning that this bench of speakers has an ongoing impact on the subject matter today. And when I mention that, I just want to underscore that the people you're going to hear from this morning are actually involved either from a policy analysis standpoint or actually boots on the ground with their commercial affiliations on the subject matter here, the restructuring of global supply chain and its impact on the commercial relationship between the United States and Taiwan. And we're really, really fortunate to have that. Like I said, we've got a deep bench of speakers. I'm not going to go too much deeper into that. I think it's important to get in. Just a quick thing on the U.S.-Taiwan Business Council. We were formed in 1976 in Chicago. And so just a point of note, we have a strong affiliation with a historical affiliation with the city. Before we start with Peter Cleveland, we have Congressman Bill Foster on the line who's going to say a few words, and then we'll get started with Peter Cleveland at Taiwan Semiconductor. Congressman Foster, sir, please, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible and visible here?
Yes, sir, you are.
Right. Well, good morning, everyone. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Congressman Bill Foster. I sometimes introduce myself as saying I represent 100% of the strategic reserve of physicists in the United States Congress. I'm a scientist and a businessman and proud to represent the 11th Congressional District of the U.S. House of Representatives. I'd like to start by thanking Johnson Chang, the Director General of the Taipei Economic Cultural Office in Chicago, for inviting me to be with you today. And I'd like to thank and acknowledge both Director Chang and Ambassador Bi-khim Hsu of the Taipei Economic Cultural Representative Office in the United States for their commitment to the strong relationship between Taiwan and the U.S., especially here in the Midwest. Taiwan is so important in so many ways, and one of the most important is as a beacon of democracy. That one of the lessons of the last several years is that democracies have to support each other in times of stress. Where I'm proud of the help that we have done helping Taiwan see its way towards a strong and vibrant democracy, and really appreciate the help that Taiwan is providing the United States in showing how well a democracy can do in times of worldwide stress. It is an economic imperative that the U.S. and Taiwanese companies advance coordination, collaboration, business opportunities here in the Midwest and in Illinois. I know in my district, which has the second, third, and fourth largest cities of Illinois in the form of Aurora, Joliet, and Naperville, we also have what I think is the number third or fourth largest employer in Taiwan, Cabot Microelectronics, which makes a very large fraction of all of the abrasive used to polish integrated circuits, integrated circuit wafers. A key thing is perhaps something I'm particularly proud of, since I'm perhaps the only member of Congress who's designed 10 integrated circuits and had them all work the first time. And Illinois imports from Taiwan total about $2.5 billion in 2018, which is an 82% increase since 2009. And Illinois ranks third among the 50 states in imports from Taiwan. Clearly, there's a strong foundation for continued partnership and collaboration. You know, as I mentioned, I'm also a businessman. When I was 19, I started a company with my little brother that makes about 70% of all the theater lighting equipment in the United States, and we export about 1/3 of what our company produces. And so I understand very, very well how important bilateral and multilateral trade is to just stabilizing the world we live in. And in the United States Congress, I'm committed to measures that will strengthen partnerships between the U.S. and Taiwan. On March 2020, I voted for S1678, the Taiwan Allies International Protection and Enhancement Initiative Act of 2019, which would increase the scope of U.S. relations with Taiwan and encourage other nations and international organizations to strengthen their official and unofficial ties with Taiwan. Former President Trump signed this bill into law on March 26, 2020. I also signed on to a letter from the Director General of WHO, the World Health Organization, in May 2020, requesting him to invite Taiwan to participate as an observer in this year's World Health Assembly. Taiwan has a lot to be proud of in the response to the coronavirus, and the world should recognize that. As a member of the Taiwan caucus, I will continue to find ways to support strong U.S.-Taiwan relationships, especially when it comes to encouraging business opportunities and collaboration here in the Midwest. And I want to thank the TICO Chicago office for donating PPP supplies to our district's health departments early in the pandemic. This generosity and response was greatly appreciated. And I look forward to the upcoming discussion.
Congressman Foster, sir, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So we're going to jump right into our panel discussion. Kicking off, I think it's fair to argue that the two companies, at the very core, perhaps the most important strategic companies in the bilateral relationship, are going to kick off our panel. We're going to start with Peter Cleveland. Peter is the Global Policy Vice President for Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Peter, over to you, please.
Well, good morning, Rupert, and let me start by echoing your comments about Johnson and Ambassador Xiao. Johnson, congratulations on such a prestigious posting, so important. And Ambassador, it's nice to share a computer platform with you always. You've been a stalwart figure for decades, and it's a great honor to be presenting here on behalf of TSMC. So, can you hear me, Rupert? Can you see me and hear me? Good.
Peter, I can see you and hear you loud and clear. You're off.
So, I thought I would talk about supply chains and TSMC's business and coming on shore to the United States. I think many people know TSMC. It is a leading edge, pure play, dedicated foundry. We manufacture chips. We actually make the chips. We don't design them. We make them. That's the hardest part. And we have 500 clients around the world, many of them in the United States. And we enable US technology. It might be supercomputers, laptops, desktops, handsets, 5G. We're in everything. It all starts with that compute power. And it's a great opportunity for us to be coming to the United States. We did not land in the Windy City. We're landing in the sunny city of Phoenix, building a new wafer fabrication facility there at a 5 nanometer geometry level for $12 billion. It will be the largest and most advanced semiconductor complex in the world. And that's a great tribute to TSMC and its history and its workers and its leadership, all of whom are modest, they're low key, they're incredibly hardworking, and they execute like clockwork. In the semiconductor business, it's extremely important to stay on your roadmap. And part of that roadmap will involve the United States now as we grow here in the US. The attractive nature of the STEM talent in the United States, the client base, the ingenuity, the resources, all are incredibly attractive to TSMC. And so this dialogue about restructuring of supply chains, what you want to do in our business, in the chip industry business, is strengthen your supply chain and make it as resilient as possible, as seamless as possible globally. We have 2,800, 3,000 suppliers around the world, and we want that interaction at all levels in making chips to be flawless. And part of that is certainly involved in the United States and making sure we're here on the ground. So I know Rupert has quite a few panelists to get to, but what I thought I might give you is a quick update on something called the CHIPS Act. You had some congressmen speaking just a moment ago on some vital policy that's moving through Washington. When we first announced in Phoenix with the Trump administration publicly in May, we got their full support from the president to the Commerce Department to the State Department. And the Trump team did an extraordinary job in terms of establishing a pathway to federal incentives to assist companies like TSMC or Samsung or Intel or many others to build up the fabrication base in the US. That has shrunk over the decades, and now it's important to turn that around because semiconductors are a catalytic product. The raw compute power of chips is in everything. And so if the United States can establish or reestablish a foundation for chip manufacturing, that will have tremendous benefit to the economy. So we worked very closely with Trump officials, and now we are shifting in terms of implementing the CHIPS Act and federal incentives to the Biden administration. And they have grabbed that football from the Trump administration and are now running with it. It's quite positive, it's bipartisan, and we see a lot of running room ahead in terms of being able to establish a critical part of our supply chain in the US. So we appreciate the support too of congressmen on the Hill who voted. Some of the Congressman Foster and Steele have voted on behalf of structuring a program for incentivizing chip manufacturing in the US. It's bipartisan, it's important, and there's some additional steps to take. But our report from Washington, D.C. is quite positive at this time. So we're thrilled to be coming ashore in the United States. I think for U.S. consumers and our U.S. customer base and for national economic security in this country, the signs point upward. And we're not alone. There are other good companies doing the same type of thing. But I'll be happy to talk about that in more detail. But I'll hand it back to Rupert so he can ask some other folks to comment that are part of the webinar. Thank you, Rupert.
Peter, my pleasure. Thank you so much for your comments. You are truly uniquely positioned to talk about the interplay between the importance of industrial policy in critical areas of US national economic interest, but also speaking to the importance of ensuring that the private economy remains the most important and dynamic part. So you've got a blend of the Chips for America Act with the technology prowess and the commitment that companies like yours make. I know you didn't mention it in your comments, but your public statements by your company and leadership this year have you committed to spending somewhere between $25 and $28 billion in CAPEX this year. It's an extraordinary commitment for a single company. Marry that with the right incentives here in the United States, and I think we find our country moving back to the right path to reestablish exactly what you've pointed to as important. Our next speaker is Dr. Jay Lee. Dr. Lee is Vice Chairman of Foxconn Technology Group, one of the world's, if not the world's, largest systems integrator, a partner to many of the world's leading technology companies, and a company that has made a significant commitment to the state of Wisconsin, but that in no way belies Foxconn's commitment to many of the states in our union. Dr. Lee, over to you, sir.
Can you hear me and can you see my screen?
100%. We can both hear you and see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you, Director General Johnson, for the invitation for us to share with the attendee about Foxconn transformation and also our recent development in Wisconsin. I think because of time frame we have, I will go through two major points. The major global transformation strategy of Foxconn is doing right now, also our strategy in Wisconsin and also Midwest in the future. Basically, we can see from the chart, from the last several decades, right? The company like Foxconn and many others, they have really invested a lot of technology in mobile computing and mobile communication for consumer electronics. But we see a most recent development in terms of a potential moving to the future digital transformation using AI, 5G, and high performance computing. That's going to change the way we work, change the way we live, and change the way we're going to invent in the future. So obviously, this transformation, Foxconn is not going to be the minority, probably is one of the majority to drive this change. So eventually, the company want to transform not just manufacturing OEM, but also technology innovators, and also provide service, value creation services. I think that's a very important strategy for the new board launched in 2019. So when the new board created and our founder, Terry Koo, and certainly serve as advisor, but the new chairman, Yang Liu, who has been leading a transformation, we launched the called Foxconn 1.0, Foxconn 2.0, and Foxconn 3.0 strategy. 1.0, strategically speaking, is very straightforward to maximize, to optimize what we do today. Foxconn 2.0 is to create a digital transformation platform to allow we go beyond what we do. And Foxconn 3.0 to create new industry to drive next S-curve in terms of a new growth, like a EV, like a digital health, and like a future open robotics platform. Of course, the technology like AI, 5G, and semiconductor will be the key enabler. So basically, let's talk about smart manufacturing. I think one of the things Foxconn is especially proud of is smart manufacturing. So when I got involved with Foxconn several years ago, and eventually the Foxconn want to connect all the machines, over 175,000 machine tools, 80,000 robots, 1,800 surface mount technology line. And so we can have a massive data correlation and using AI to predict what's manufacturing and the quality going to be. So that evolution actually create a new culture, new DNA about bring the smart manufacturing to the everywhere we do. So 2019, and Foxconn was received the World Economic Forum recognition to be one of the lighthouse factory around the world. This lighthouse really deployed advanced AI and big data and to develop a predictive factory. So the reason we use the lights out, not because there's a light, we don't need people, really is about worry-free. We want to evaluate, challenge our worker without seeing them, without even worry about them, the end we achieved. And this year, we will select another World Economic Lighthouse as a human-centered, skillful factory. We train the people to become more sustainable using a new technology to help people to become smarter and skillful. So again, we internally, we also build over 10 lighthouse to drive the transformation worldwide. Now, the Foxconn 3.0, as you can tell, EV is one of the major drivers, right, for the next 10 years. You can tell it's digital health, which is going to be another one for the human health and robotics platform. So AI, semiconductor, and 5G and 6G. So this we call 3+3 in our acronym. So when we talk to our suppliers and also the global supply chain, we call 3+3. EV particular, our HI, the MIH and the platform has over 1,000 suppliers right now worldwide. It's being integrated. So let's look at Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin has been a critical investment for Foxconn in US. And we started Wisconsin a few years ago to invest in not just technology, but also the physical development, but also the future business. And after several years, we have developed a strategical area. For example, we start from a a greenfield and over 3,000 acres land in about Rixin area. So today, 2018 started. You can tell this is a greenfield. For the last several years, you can see a major movement of a transformation, right, from a greenfield to a today. We put Area 1 has a well developed in terms of a future smart manufacturing foundation. So this is a technology park. We provide a several strategic area. We have invested over $850 million in terms of build this technology park, including a smart manufacturing center, which provide the smart manufacturing technology and services for our customers, and also the high-tech carrier, we call 3+3 platform, to perform the future business like EV, digital health, and etc. So also we have high-performance computing centers provide data services for the future our business, not just in Wisconsin, but also in the U.S., including agriculture, machinery, and manufacturing. As you can tell, the Area 1 has been well, in fact, this investment has built several major sites. And this building we call A6A will be performing the 3+3 initiative, including EV development and digital health. This smart manufacturing will be doing lots of data servers and also advanced manufacturing and 5G. And also the high performance computing centers will be done by this week, in fact, right? End of March 29th will be finished up. Then we will provide a high performance computing to help companies to conduct advanced analysis, also the data service business. We believe the Wisconsin is only a starting. The way we look at the future development, we from a 4S point of view. Traditionally, we look at the site development. We build a factory, we build a product, we hire the people for employment. We call the 3E, right? Economy, employment, and very important, right? So education. But later on, we believe we have to provide skills for the people who can be future a business. But more likely, the future technology, we have the smart workforce. So we provide the AI, 5G, high performance computing, and cloud data center to enable business to harvest the future invisible asset, eventually become a sustainable industry through a new ecosystem. So we call this a 4S strategy to drive the future development. We believe the strategy is going to be not just for Wisconsin, but for Midwest, but also for the US and for the global. So again, during the COVID, one thing changed all of us. Digital transformation moved faster than we have foreseen, right? For example, like Microsoft CEO has said, 2 years digital transformation and change in 2 months. So we believe there's a future at the Foxconn, Wisconsin, going to be one of a made in USA major server hub, which drive the most suppliers, integration of global resources, and to make a server. This will be one of the biggest server production site and also innovation site. HPC, they will be providing data highway for the future manufacturing, and also 5G for smart manufacturing services. Of course, we also start making not just the mask, ventilator. Now we'll start making also COVID-related and digital health products. Of course, the future site will be providing potential EV, etc. So not just because of the site, like I said, people. I took a major effort and visit all the campuses beside our university, great university in Wisconsin. We visited Northwestern, University of Illinois, and University of Michigan, Purdue, to recruit what we call the Foxconn Future Leaders Program, and in 2019. So we've been training them, transfer the skills. So we created called the Foxconn Industrial AI Institute in Wisconsin. We created a textbook, how to train people to use these tools to create more value-added manufacturing and services, and to make our workforce sustainable. Of course, not just our internal textbook, we also published a open textbook for the world, so people can read it, understand how we have done it, how we're going to provide that contagious effort to influence everyone. So in the end, I think 5G is going to be next, and we're working on right now and trying to produce these 5G products, eventually provide the 5G service for the smart manufacturing in the older manufacturing and the supply chain system. Finally, I think it's an important thing to say, we have also started investing in technology,
so I just got a
providing
notification from my app that my
a
last test
COVID
results have
testing.
expired.
We believe
And that
our
means
founder,
it's time to do it
Terry,
again.
has a creative
So I
vision.
thought I'd show you
We
how.
have to using a digital health
Just
to help
let me
people to
enter my
save
name
lives.
to get
Right now,
started.
we're at a special time. So this digital saliva-based a
first thing you're gonna do
PCR
is
machine
just
has been
slide the
developed
door down on your
right now
PSS.
under the final evaluation
find your
of
disc.
EUA
It looks
in
like
Wisconsin.
this. Just
So
slide it
we
right
believe
into the
this
slot.
system will help people,
ahead and slide
even
the
though
door
with the
back up.
vaccines, and it
Now,
start helping a lot of
find your
people.
saliva cup.
But the testing, frequency of testing,
You'll see on the
still
back
the
that
key
there's a
to
QR
guarantee
code.
our
You
health,
just need to scan that.
right? And our society still
All right, now you're gonna drool
can be
into
very
the
healthy
cup.
and safe. So again, and thank you again for inviting us to share our work. I hope the event's a great success. Thank you.
Dr. Lee, thank you. Just a quick reminder to my panelist colleagues on the call to keep muted so that we don't hear any background noise that might be taking place inadvertently. Dr. Lee, thank you so much. I think one of the things I really liked about your comments was the importance of clustering around major commitments that companies like yours or Peter's Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC make. It's not just the headline investment for a company like Foxconn or a company like TSMC. There are a whole range of companies that come with the ecosystem that you create. And as a consequence, we get a multiplier effect as the impact grows significantly. We're now going to hear from Dr. Meng Jiang, who is the Dean of the College of Engineering at Purdue University. He's also the founding director for the Center for Tech Diplomacy at Purdue. Dr. Jiang.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rupert. Mic checks if you can hear and see me.
We can both hear you and see you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Great to be here. And thank you, Ambassador Xiao and DG Chang, for the kind invitation to be on this panel. I think that the bipartisan appreciation and support of Taiwan as a critical friend of the United States, built upon trust and shared value, is demonstrated in ways more than one, including in the recently signed Science and Technology Agreement as a diplomatic treaty between Taiwan and the United States last December. Now, Purdue Engineering is proud to be the largest now by enrollment among the top 10 engineering college in the United States. And we recently are also launching this new Center for Tech Diplomacy at Purdue in order to advance technology for freedom. And today I'm hoping to share the progress on two particular dimensions that a place such as Purdue Engineering can help to further advance the strong bonding between Taiwan and the United States. First is on the front of educational collaboration, the talent pipeline and this supply chain of human resources, if you will. Turns out that Purdue has enjoyed a long-standing heritage in working with Taiwanese universities, dating back to at least in the 1950s, under the predecessor of USAID, Project Formosa, where Purdue University helped the National Cheng Kung University to establish itself as a premier engineering-centric university in Taiwan. And I had the pleasure to go there about 2 years ago to sign an agreement of 3+2 dual degree program. And by the way, when I was there, I saw that the National Cheng Kung University actually had a museum about Purdue University to reflect upon our outstanding relationship. And we don't even have a university museum here about Purdue at Purdue. So National Cheng Kung hosts the only museum about Purdue in Tainan. And we signed this 3+2 joint degree program, whereby students in that cohort will get a bachelor degree from National Cheng Kung in certain engineering disciplines, such as aerospace, which is very strong there, and then come over here to Purdue to spend 2 more years. So part of her bachelor degree will be from Purdue, and also then obtain a master degree in engineering from Purdue. We are very proud of this program, and we're hoping that we can scale up this effort with other universities in Taiwan. We're happy to share our experience with other neighboring universities here in the Midwest or throughout the country. We're particularly excited about additional opportunities to do language training along with universities in Taiwan. Second is that I want to highlight with our wonderful collaborators in TSMC. Peter, great to see you here. And please relay our warmest regards to your chairman, Dr. Liu, along with your colleagues in TSMC, because there have been 2 outstanding efforts going on. One is that last month, I hosted a recruiting effort by TSMC Arizona plant to recruit engineers from Purdue. Again, we have 17,000 engineering students in Purdue College of Engineering. Perhaps not all of them will be working at TSMC, but a fraction of the 17,000, I think, are very interested to work in the Arizona facility or remotely. And furthermore, later this week is going to be announced publicly that a new research center in trusted microelectronic ecosystem research will be jointly created by TSMC, Purdue, along with some other governmental and private sector collaborators. It will be a very exciting and transformational research center that will aid the further development of the overall manufacturing ecosystem and supply chain. So to wrap up my 3 minutes here, I would again thank all the collaborators and encourage any other companies in Taiwan. Foxconn, thank you, Jay, for mentioning Purdue just now, whether it is about student recruiting or about research collaboration. And we have one of the nation's best manufacturing set of faculty members and innovations here at Purdue Engineering. And would like to offer ourselves as a partner should anybody on this call or your colleagues be interested in either educational efforts or R&D efforts. Again, we strongly believe that Taiwan is a role model, the future of Indo-Pacific, a true friend to the United States in many ways, and we're delighted to help advance the relationship, especially educational and research, between Taiwan and the US. Thank you again. Great to see all of you here.
Dr. Jiang, thank you so much for your comments, and of course, underscoring the vital importance of high quality human capital, education, and education cooperation between countries, important countries like Taiwan and the United States, in ensuring that our companies have the personnel that they need to be successful, whether as entrepreneurs or in more traditional positions throughout the value chain of a respective business. I'm now going to shift to Kyle Schultz. Kyle is the Executive Vice President of Business Development and Global Strategy for World Business Chicago. Kyle, over to you, please.
Thank you, Rupert. I appreciate the warm introduction. And Director General Zhang, thank you for inviting World Business Chicago to be part. It's a pleasure to talk about the commercial and economic ties between Taiwan and Chicago, especially as we look ahead after the pandemic. World Business Chicago is the City of Chicago's economic development agency. Our mission is to promote the City of Chicago around the world and attract inclusive investment and jobs. And we are very fortunate that Taiwan is a key partner in that effort and helping raise Chicago's economy and creating jobs for all of Chicagoans. Chicago has been ranked 7 consecutive years as the #1 city in North America for foreign direct investment. And because of our diversity of economy, with no more than 14% of any one sector making up our total GDP, and with 36 Fortune 500 headquarters based in Chicago, we have been able to attract companies from all over the world. But one of the stats we are most proudest of is that 20 Taiwanese-based companies have operations in our Chicago area. And that includes not just in the city of Chicago, but also in the district that Congressman Foster represents as well, truly creating jobs for the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago and making the economic environment much better. Over the last year, we have been challenged by a global pandemic that has limited our ability to do trade, to do investments, and connect together. And while 2020 was hopefully a once in 100-year challenge for all of our economies and our leadership, I am very proud to report that in the last year, Taiwan remained the 11th largest trading partner for Illinois by goods of dollar value. And continuing that, Taiwan represents one of the most diversified migrant populations in all of Illinois, with 8,500 Taiwanese-born residents in Illinois, according to the U.S. Census. And as we look ahead, and after today's forum, I think one of the most exciting opportunities exists. Last summer, Chicago was the first major U.S. city to publish a strategic plan to come out of the COVID recession, as well as addressing the racial injustices that came to light after George Floyd's murder. In this plan, called the Recovery Task Force Report, Chicago leaders identified 17 recommendations for a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable city and economy moving forward. The recommendations touch on everything from youth services, mental health, workers, as well as industry. And moving forward, Chicago is excited to discuss and work with companies around the world around the sectors of manufacturing, transportation, distribution, and logistics, or as we like to say on a shorter abbreviation, supply chain. So thank you, Director General Chang, for organizing a conversation around supply chains, healthcare and life sciences, and food and agriculture. These four sectors, we believe, will be key growth areas for not just the Chicago and Illinois economy moving forward, but for the world economy. The city of Chicago has 29 sister cities around the world. We are the most diversified and closely connected city in terms of twin relationships over the world. And over the past year, we have been able to leverage those relationships to continue to promote Chicago to our partners around the world, organizing 7 international virtual summits that have allowed Chicago and our partners to discuss everything from the digitization of transportation to manufacturing and the future of financial services through blockchain and crypto technologies. And so it's a pleasure to be here today to make you aware of those opportunities that are happening in Chicago, the work that we're doing to position ourselves to come out of this recession as a more vibrant and welcoming economy, and look forward to engaging with Taiwan business leaders, and TICO moving forward so that all of our businesses are able to find the markets they're looking to access and take advantage of a global prosperity that is hopefully returning as we get our vaccinations. Thank you, Rupert.
Kyle, many thanks. While some of you may disagree with this statement, I would also add, Kyle, that Chicago is home to the greatest football team in the world, the Chicago Bears.
I, as a Bears fan, after what we've done in this offseason, would disagree with that. But thank you for promoting our American football team. That's very generous of you.
Hopefully, we don't live season to season. You know, we have a long-term view. But anyway, thank you so much for that. We're going to now pivot and hear from Leo Seawald, who is the outgoing president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan. Leo, it's very good to see you, my friend, and we look forward to hearing your comments.
Yes, good morning or good evening, depending where you are. I wanted to thank Johnson for inviting us to the call as well. You look very well settled in your new job. And also Ambassador Xiao, thank you so much. For those who don't know, the American Chamber in Taiwan, and we just changed our name. We used to be the American Chamber in Taipei until this year. We changed the name from Taipei to Taiwan to be more reflective of the work we do. We have about 1,000 members, and 500 of those are corporate members. Those reflect the largest U.S. and international companies in Taiwan in a very broad spectrum of industries, everything from semiconductor, pharma, medical devices, energy, financial sector, AI, environment, automotive, you name it. And we're quite evenly dispersed in those different sectors. I wanted to start by telling you all that we do a survey every year, which we call the Business Climate Survey, where we survey our members about the confidence they have about their businesses in Taiwan and how they feel the Taiwan economy is going. And we completed our survey at the end of last year and released the results in January of this year. And despite the COVID year, 86% of our members were confident in the Taiwan economy and how their businesses would be doing in Taiwan in the next 18 months. That is a record high, and that high goes even far beyond what it was pre-COVID. Over 40% of our members are looking to hire people this year as well. So in a year where the world is down, Taiwan is clearly up, and our members here feel very confident about that. And I think that confidence comes not only from the way Taiwan has managed to handle COVID, but also from the shift in supply chain that we've seen over the last number of years. So there's a sense amongst our membership that there is kind of a golden moment for Taiwan right now. That Taiwan is really coming to its own and has tremendous opportunities ahead of it. And we at AmCham are working very hard to kind of drive those initiatives. I also wanted to let everyone know that the Taiwanese government is tremendously friendly towards businesses that operate here. We had a record number of issues resolved in our white paper, and our white paper is something we do every year that raises issues that our members face in terms of doing business in Taiwan, and the Taiwan government really listens. And I think this year, again, we're going to have a very good result. We're just in the process of working with the Taiwanese government to settle those issues going forward. Our goal is really about closer relationships with the United States and connectivity. So some of the things we're working on right now is to help Taiwan to move towards a bilateral free trade agreement. We're working a lot with Rupert on that and encourage as many companies in the U.S. as possible to join the U.S.-Taiwan bilateral trade agreement coalition that Rupert and our organization founded. We're also working to come and bring about a double taxation agreement between Taiwan and the United States to make business more efficient. It's almost unbelievable if you look at all the countries that have this type of agreement with Taiwan that the United States doesn't. From a business perspective, it doesn't really make sense. Some of the other issues that we're working on the soft diplomacy side are the talent circulation initiative that the U.S. Embassy here initiated, or AIT as we call it. We're also helping on the Taiwanese side. The Taiwanese this year initiated a gold card program to get established individuals to move from the United States and other parts of the world to kind of settle in Taiwan and bring their talents to Taiwan. And we're working hard to make sure that process means that these people are going to stay and grow meaningful roots in Taiwan, not just and go back to their countries when COVID is over. We really want to have more high-level professionals stay in Taiwan and help Taiwan develop. The final thing I want to mention is that we're also very involved with Taiwan's bilingual nation efforts. For those of you who are not aware, Taiwan has declared that it wants to become bilingual by the year 2030. That is an ambitious goal. However, the international business community, particularly our members, feel that's very good for Taiwan, and we also feel we should be leading that drive to help Taiwan become bilingual. And I think once we establish that, the business relationships between the U.S. And Taiwan will only grow. So we're a bridge for any companies looking to do business in Taiwan. If we can ever be of service, please let us know, and it's my pleasure to participate in this forum. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rupert.
Oh, Leo, it's absolutely my pleasure. I absolutely must underscore everything that Leo said. If anybody is listening at the moment to any company that does not presently have an affiliation with the American Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Leo and his colleagues to establish that relationship, and would also underscore the importance of the white paper process. Topics Magazine, in my view, is the most important business publication that the US business community can access on a regular basis. And at the core of that is the AmCham Taiwan's white paper process, an incredibly rigorous and thorough assessment each year of the business environment in Taiwan. And as Leo noted, the Taiwan government pays attention, and there is a thorough process post the production of the paper to brief the government and to directly engage the Taiwan government in addressing those issues raised by international business to make partnering with Taiwan a more beneficial partnership. So Leo, thank you so much. I look forward, hopefully, to seeing you in Taiwan sooner rather than later, my friend. Fingers crossed on that front. We're going to pivot now, and we have Michael Stoker. Michael is the co-chair of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum of the Executives Club of Chicago. Michael is also a partner at Baker & McKenzie. I mentioned the early part that the US-Taiwan Business Council was founded in Chicago in 1976. And to be even more exact, we were founded in the offices of Baker & McKenzie. So a personal connection there between USTBC and Michael's law firm. Michael, over to you. We look forward to your comments.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. Let me make sure my video is on. Hi. So I'm a lawyer, a partner in Baker McKenzie in the Chicago office. In my practice, I advise clients in the areas of technology transactions, digital transformation, cybersecurity, data breach response, and privacy. And as you mentioned, I'm co-chair of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum of the Executives Club of Chicago. The Executives Club is one of the City of Chicago's top business forums with over 1,500 members from every industry in Chicago. As a cybersecurity lawyer, today I would like to discuss recent cybersecurity legal developments related to the U.S. federal government's review of the high-tech supply chain and its procurement of connected devices that may have a lasting impact on high-tech manufacturing, software development, and data hosting. I'll also discuss why Chicago is an excellent choice for Taiwanese companies looking for opportunities to bring their products and supply chains closer to their American customers. During the past 12 months, the world has experienced many global supply chain problems. The world has suffered through a global pandemic that has endured lockdowns and have impacted global manufacturing and logistics. And under the Trump administration, the United States engaged in a trade war with China. However, the pandemic has created a strong demand for products or goods and services in many sectors. Companies and consumers want to buy cars, medical devices, TVs, and maybe even the new PlayStation or Xbox. This has led to acute global shortages in supplies and goods, including semiconductors, which has had an impact on practically every global technology sector. On top of this, there's an increasing concern by the U.S. federal government regarding how non-U.S. companies manufacture high-tech and connected products outside the United States, what data those products collect, where that data is stored, who has access to that data, and whether these high-tech products pose a cybersecurity risk to the United States. The supply chain disruptions that the U.S. has recently faced, combined with these cybersecurity challenges, have forced non-U.S. companies to consider moving manufacturing and data hosting to the United States or other countries that are closer to the U.S. I'm going to provide you with an overview of some of the latest developments, but first, let me give you a little bit of background. Over the past 5 years, the Department of Homeland Security has increasingly relied upon its ability to order U.S. government agencies to use or refrain from using certain technology as a means to protect the U.S. from perceived cybersecurity threats. In turn, the U.S. Congress has taken the next step by passing a number of laws to expressly debar specific non-U.S. companies from selling products or software to the federal government. The federal government began to use its procurement power as a means of protecting against cybersecurity vulnerabilities when it enacted a federal law in 2014. The 2014 Act authorized the Department of Homeland Security to develop and oversee the implementation of binding operational directives to U.S. agencies for the purpose of safeguarding federal information and systems from known or reasonably suspected information security risks. The Department of Homeland Security ordered in 2017 government agencies to remove Kaspersky-branded cybersecurity software products from government IT systems. Even though Kaspersky products are highly regarded as excellent products, the U.S. federal government became concerned with whether any data collected could be stored in Russia and whether the Russian government could have access to it. In 2018, shortly thereafter, the federal government intelligence agencies began to issue warnings that the U.S. federal government had cybersecurity concerns about certain technologies manufactured by certain Chinese companies. And then on August 13th, 2018, President Trump signed into law the Defense Authorization Act, which provided that no U.S. government agency could procure or obtain any equipment, system, or service that uses covered telecommunications equipment, or enter into a contract with an entity that uses any equipment, system, or service that uses covered telecommunications equipment. Now, this law defined covered telecommunications equipment quite narrowly to apply to equipment manufactured only by 5 specifically named Chinese companies. And then throughout 2019 and 2020, the U.S. government issued warnings regarding the use of smart TVs and the use of certain social media and other related apps developed by foreign-owned companies. Now, it's not clear whether the U.S. government would treat Taiwanese companies the same way that it treats Chinese or Russian companies, but many Taiwanese companies source technology from China, and so it's useful to keep an eye on these developments. But with that background, I would like to discuss 2 of the latest developments. The first is the Internet of Things Cybersecurity Improvement Act of 2020, and then the Executive Order on America's supply chains. On December 4th, 2020, the U.S. federal government enacted the Internet of Things law. The IoT Act requires the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, to publish standards and guidelines for the U.S. federal government in connection with the use and management by U.S. federal agencies of IoT devices that are owned and controlled by a federal agency, and to publish minimum information security standards for managing cybersecurity risk. NIST is a federal government agency that establishes guidelines and requirements for the procurement of technology by the U.S. federal government. Generally, the IoT Act applies to IoT devices procured by the U.S. federal government that have at least one sensor or actuator for interacting directly with the physical world and at least one network interface, but that are not conventional information technology devices such as smartphones or laptops. So think smart TVs, smart speakers, and the like. And on December 15, 2020, NIST published draft guidance on its cybersecurity guidance for the federal government. Notably, the IoT Act requires that NIST by June 2nd, 2021, also published guidelines for the reporting and receiving of information about security vulnerabilities related to information systems or connected devices owned and controlled by the federal government. Now, although the law is directed to federal government procurement, there could be a trickle-down effect to many types of products, since companies may sell the same types of connected devices to consumers as they do to the federal government, like smart TVs. As a result, it is likely that the NIST cybersecurity guidelines for connected devices may become one of the primary cybersecurity standards in the U.S., so the high-tech community should pay attention to these developments. Following on this, on February 24th, 2021, President Biden signed an executive order that requires federal agencies to conduct a multi-phase review and report on vulnerabilities in various key U.S. supply chains. The executive order provides that the U.S. needs resilient, diverse, and secure supply chains to ensure U.S. economic prosperity and national security. The executive order cites not only pandemics, but also cyber attacks, climate change, geopolitical and economic competition, and other conditions that can reduce critical manufacturing capacity and the availability and integrity of critical goods, products, and services in the United States. The U.S. federal government wants to ensure that the U.S. has resilient supply chains and wants to revitalize and rebuild domestic manufacturing capacity. Moreover, the executive order states that close cooperation on resilient supply chains with allies and partners who share our values will foster collective economic and national security and strengthen the capacity to respond to international disasters and emergencies. Now, technology and telecommunications related supply chains feature prominently in the executive order. The federal government will be publishing a report by early June 2021, which will examine, among other things, semiconductor manufacturing and advanced packaging supply chains, in addition to high-capacity batteries. And within a year, the government will publish an in-depth review of each sector, including information and communications technology sector and its industrial base. There will also be a cross-sector review of digital products that affect multiple industries. Now, it's too early to predict the outcome and impact of these reviews, but it's quite likely that cybersecurity issues will loom large and that technology and telecommunications companies may wish to participate in the consultation process and follow this review. But companies that do business in the United States will want to look for opportunities to work with the U.S. federal government and address issues in the supply chain that identifies. This could include, for example, moving manufacturing, software development, or data hosting to the United States. Now, Chicago has become a technology powerhouse, and Taiwanese companies will find that there is a thriving technology environment here in Chicago. I have a slide up on the screen where I have some links to some Chicago technology and manufacturing resources, including the World Business Chicago forum that was discussed earlier. And we advise clients on these issues all the time, including in Taipei and the United States. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much indeed. Your timely presentation on the interplay between business and national security leads us very neatly into our next speaker, Ian Steff. For those of you who do not know Ian played an essential leadership role in the Trump administration in exactly the area of the interplay between business and national security, as he and his colleagues within the interagency process, but very much with Ian's leadership, both in the States as well as a number of trips that Ian took to Taiwan in the last 2 years to coordinate efforts by the US and by Taiwan, not just at a government-to-government level, but also at a commercial level, both to address issues domestically here that might be best represented by TSMC's commitment to Phoenix, Arizona, but also some of the pressure that the United States, in my view, has rightly been applying on China in respect to the semiconductor industry by way of example. So let's pass it on to Ian. Ian, if you're there, please fire away.
Well, thank you, Rupert, and it's so good to see you again, and Ambassador Shao, Director General Chang, and honorable dignitaries from federal and state governments, the U.S.-Taiwan Business Council, the American Chamber of Commerce, the universities that are participating, including my friend Dr. Meng Chang of Purdue. Good morning, good evening. It's a pleasure to join you in this event with our friends and fellow government and business colleagues from Taiwan. As the former Assistant Secretary of Commerce and Director General of the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, as the Honorable President Tsai observed, there was one destination that I traveled to more than any other during my 3.5 years serving in federal government. That destination was Taiwan. And I'll tell you, Secretary Wilbur Ross and I kept our U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service colleagues there very busy and very occupied, in large part because of the huge business opportunities that were being presented by both U.S. and Taiwanese companies. So a shout out to all of the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service colleagues and the great job that they continue to do there on the ground there in Taiwan. Why did I travel there the most out of any destination? As the ambassador referenced, we have no better friend than Taiwan when it comes to further developing the strong bonds that unite us, our commitment to democracy, the strength of our scientific and technological cooperation, and our desire to make the products that will change the world and improve societal welfare. Essentially, we make things, and when we make things together, we will make the world a better place and bring our two peoples closer together. Speaking of bringing people together, Select USA, time and again, we welcomed the single largest delegation from Taiwan during my tenure in the Department of Commerce. This is the annual event in which we invite people from all over the world to look at the U.S., to build and grow their enterprise here and to reach the U.S. market. And not only did our friends from Taiwan show up, our business friends from Taiwan invested. We applaud the Taiwanese investments in the U.S., including notably TSMC's multi-billion-dollar investment in the state of Arizona and a leading-edge semiconductor fabrication facility. Peter, I really appreciated your remarks, and thanks for your leadership alongside your leadership in Taiwan, including the Honorable Morris Chang and Mark Liu. As we speak, TSMC is hiring hundreds of highly skilled individuals throughout the country that will be trained in the latest leading-edge technology. Those individuals will have the opportunity to travel to Taiwan and continue to bring our two cultures together and more integrally linked. TSMC, alongside other leading semiconductor manufacturers and equipment companies with large investments in the U.S., like Skywater, NXP, Applied Materials, Intel, AMD, Samsung, and IBM, just to list a few, are now working together alongside the Semiconductor Industry Association to ensure that the Chips for America Act is fully implemented. In doing so, we will have leveled the global playing field and will ensure our supply chains are secure and our federal governments are making the right type of R&D investments to augment industry-driven efforts. On that note, industry-driven efforts is core to our supply chain discussion today. These supply chains are shaped by industry and they should be led by industry. And certainly government can play a role throughout the regulatory process to invest in R&D. And therefore, what is very much needed is a long-term road mapping activity in each of these strategic sectors that we've talked about today, Rupert, to further define where our companies can come together and really ensure that that the federal governments are investing where they need to be investing, and certainly regulating where they need to regulate and deregulating where they don't need to be. So that is very key and central to some of the efforts that I was privileged to take part in during my tenure with the U.S. Department of Commerce. We mentioned the supply chain activities and the new economic dialogue that my friend Keith Kroc instituted alongside the Department of Commerce. And I will say that we very much look forward to taking that to the next level, and applaud the Biden administration for its continued commitment to continue to foster our relationship with Taiwan. I will say that in closing, we really look forward to further cementing our partnership in some of these scientific areas that we've talked about, whether they relate to the Internet of Things, whether it relates to advanced manufacturing that will further define the semiconductor industry, an industry that I spent 10 years in, whether it's related to cloud computing or artificial intelligence, autonomous transportation. These are 2, 3, 4 areas that really bring us closer together, because Taiwan and the U.S. have so much to offer in these strategic sectors. As we've seen, throughout the past year, Taiwan has also been there for the United States of America and our companies as we've dealt with the unprecedented COVID-19 situation. And while we're separated by digital zeros and ones to date, I will just thank the people of Taiwan for their sincerity, as well as their donations of much needed PPE. We will not forget that anytime soon, and many of the companies have been a recipient of that great and kind gesture and support over the course of the last year. I was also very honored to participate in the memorial service of President Lee. That was a very special time, and as I reflect on my 3.5 years of government service, I will always humbly remember participating in the Father of Democracy's services there in Taiwan. It was very special, and I thank everyone who participated in that on the line. As we move forward, I would just continue to encourage the companies and the private sector to really define this relationship and take it to the next level. As we look at our trading relationship, as well as our economic and scientific and technological ties, the horizon is bright, and we really look forward to doubling down on it and working across a bipartisan line and throughout the business community to further reach our high level goals. Applaud all of you for participating today, and really look forward to my next visit to Taiwan very soon. Thank you so much.
Ian, that was marvelous. Thank you so very much indeed. I just want to pull on one quick thread that you noted. There was much in there, but just one quick thing by way of discipline. The EPPD, the Economic Prosperity Partnership Dialogue, that was launched by the Trump administration. There's every indication that Mr. Biden and his colleagues are going to take this opportunity, expand with it, run with it, and technology cooperation generally, semiconductor cooperation specifically, can and should be an essential pillar of this opportunity to grow the commercial relationship between the US and Taiwan, not as a replacement for the goal and objective of signing a bilateral trade agreement, but as one that complements that effort in a broader effort to expand our partnership between the two countries. Ian, thank you. We're now going to pivot to a speaker who brought the broadest smile on my face when I saw that he was a panelist, Dr. Larry Diamond. Many of you know, of course, Larry's contribution to US-China-Taiwan relations, US-Taiwan relations. He has been a tireless advocate for the relationship. And for those of you familiar, whether participating in the many, many panels and platforms that he has hosted through his affiliation at Stanford, or through his prolific writing, you'll know that Larry has for many, many years pointed in the right direction on US-Taiwan relations and remains an unapologetic advocate for the importance of the relationship between the two countries. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to see you, and I look forward to your comments.
Yes, Sorry for the construction chaos behind me. And thank you, Rupert, and all of you. And most of all, the TICO office in Chicago for organizing this important event. This business forum comes at a moment of opportunity and urgent need for closer economic and societal relations between the US and Taiwan. The opportunity is the remarkable growth of Taiwan as a technologically sophisticated producer of high-tech goods and supplies, such as, of course, semiconductors. As Taiwan's representative to the United States, a very good friend, Ambassador B. Kim Shao, noted at the start of this event, Taiwan is an extraordinary hub of science and engineering innovation and has become one of the world's leading producers in information and communication technologies, out of all proportion to its relatively modest population size. As the world economy undergoes what Jay Lee described as a digital transformation using AI, 5G, and high-performance computing, there's never been a better, more natural, and more mutually beneficial moment to deepen the integration between our two economies. That's the opportunity. But I also want to speak, and more bluntly, to the national security imperative here, which derives from the era we have entered of rising conflict between China and Taiwan and between China and the United States. This is not conflict that anyone should wish for, but it is conflict that China is increasingly bringing about due to its illegal and unsustainable claims to near total sovereignty over the South China Sea, its rising bullying of its neighbors on virtually every land and sea border, its wolf warrior diplomacy and military deployments aiming to establish itself as the dominant power in the Indo-Pacific region, and its efforts to use propaganda and United Front tactics to penetrate and subdue the democracies of the region and the world, so that any opposition to China's regional and global ambitions can be neutralized in advance, and China can peacefully rise to regional and global dominance. My point is, we cannot allow our information, communication, and manufacturing systems, our pharmaceuticals, and so our public health, and other critical elements of our economic and social life to be held hostage if at some point China should choose to escalate this conflict or to pose a more imminent and tangible coercive threat to Taiwan, which I and other national security thinkers increasingly fear may be coming. Reconfiguring high-tech supply chains now is the prudent thing to do. In fact, the necessary thing to do to reduce the global leverage of a neo-totalitarian regime that is crushing freedom in Hong Kong by the day, operating mass, quote, re-education camps, end quote, in Xinjiang province, relentlessly misappropriating American high technology, expanding its military at a breakneck pace, and building toward what could be an existential threat to the freedom and security of Taiwan. So, deepening reciprocal trade ties and technological and manufacturing cooperation between the US and Taiwan not only makes eminent economic and geopolitical sense, it is a much-deserved vote of confidence in the freest and most dynamic democracy in Asia. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, Larry. We're now going to pass the microphone over to Jeffrey Don. He is the Director of Corporate Relations at Discovery Partners Institute. Jeffrey, please. Are you with us? Perhaps he temporarily dropped off. Ambassador Hoekstra, if you're available now, sir, why don't we proceed with you? Ambassador Hoekstra is the former U.S. ambassador to Holland. Ambassador.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be with you, and it's great to be, with an ambassador and the Director General to talk about this relationship and to talk about the opportunities. But maybe beginning, Larry, could you tell us how you really feel about the current opportunities? Wow, you took many of my my talking points because they were many of the things that I experienced over the last 3 years representing the United States in the Netherlands. The Dutch pride themselves on being a small country that has great economic power and influence. It sounds a lot like Taiwan. They are great, and they pride themselves on their logistic capabilities, the port of Rotterdam, the airport at Schiphol, and those types of things. And when the pandemic hit, they found out that, we really do need to rethink supply chains, because what they had focused on was making the Dutch, the Netherlands, very, very efficient and effective. And what they found is that they were not resilient enough, that when there was change in consumer buying behavior, it's kind of like, whoa, we were so efficient, we didn't have the resiliency built in. And then you build on some of the points that Ian talked about, that Larry talked about. These were things that we worked on extensively in the Netherlands and throughout Europe. We saw countries in Europe that were basically being blackmailed by China, saying, we need you to do these things politically, make these types of comments out of your political, out of your government, or we will actually withhold the shipment of PPE and other vital resources that you've come to rely on us for. If you don't behave politically, you're not going to get them. And so that ended up being a real problem. So the Dutch are rethinking those supply chains in terms of who they will rely on and who they will not. And then I think, I worked extensively with the State Department and with the Commerce Department on building, secure networks, whether it was dealing, what is Europe going to do? What are the Dutch going to do in return? In regards to Huawei, 5G and technology and all of these types of things. Will ASML be allowed to sell certain equipment, chip manufacturing machines that may make their way into China? And these are all the kinds of issues that maybe 5 or 10 years ago people would not be thinking about, but all of a sudden with the pandemic and the increasing the change in behavior of China, all of a sudden they have moved to the forefront. The end result from a political standpoint, and this again where you congratulate the representation of Taiwan in building a relationship that has bipartisan support in Washington, so that as we transition from a Trump regime to a Biden regime, you're not seeing a total rethink of, well, how are we going to deal with Taiwan and these types of things? It creates a very, very unique opportunity to significantly enhance a very strong economic relationship. We see that the same types of opportunities in the Netherlands. The Dutch are the third or fourth largest foreign direct investor in the United States. And you say, what else can they do? And all of a sudden the pandemic comes forward and say, wow, rethinking of supply chains. We can take a great relationship and make it even better. I think that's the same way that the U.S. and Taiwan ought to take a look at the current environment. We have a good relationship. We have a very, very solid relationship. Key Taiwanese companies in the chip industry are, they're investing in the United States and those types of things. But how do we take a good situation and make it a great situation and make it even stronger? That's the opportunity that's laid out there in front of us. There's a number of different areas, but I really would like to build on the comments of Ian and Larry. National security. This is really an area that I think provides a unique opportunity to strengthen this relationship. So, I think the challenge to the business community here in the United States and in Taiwan, the governments, is how do we move forward? I would recommend that companies bolster their connections and their ability to strengthen these relationships. This is a unique opportunity. In 12, 18, 24 months, this opportunity, some of it may have moved away. Now is the time to act, strengthen these relationships, and build on them, and only good things will happen. Thank you.
Ambassador Hoekstra, thank you so much. I see Jeffrey Don's with us now. So, Jeffrey, why don't you take it off right now? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Jeffrey Don from DPI, Discovery Partners Institute. So I'm not sure if you are all aware of what Discovery Partners Institute is. It is a partnership between the University of Illinois campuses, UIUC, UI Chicago, UI Springfield, Northwestern University, University of Chicago, and then Argonne National Labs, and we're discussing a partnership with Fermi National Labs. The idea is to bring businesses to the state of Illinois and keep them here. That's been the overarching goal, and we are active in 3 main areas, I would say. First is tech talent development. We develop tech talent we have a K through 12 program where we're reaching into the Chicago public schools and schools throughout Illinois to bring computer science and digital technologies into this younger demographic. We, of course, have the education piece for our traditional age students. And then we have an upskilling and reskilling component where we're bringing education to people who want to learn new skills. So I think our talent team is very active. We're working with Penny Pritzker and her foundation to move this talent piece forward. The second component of DPI is the R&D team. That's where I'm a part of. And the idea behind the R&D team is that we have built so far 9 science teams where we have given grants, $125,000 grants to 9 of the science teams to form around a topic. The idea is that each of these science teams should attack sort of 2 fronts. One is where they look for the very large NSF foundational grants, like an AI institute. We have already won an AI farming institute for digital technologies for farms. So we go after those very large grants from National Science Foundation and so forth. The second component is business building. We believe that each of the science teams that we fund should turn into a business. One interesting example, we have a team of microbiologists, okay? And when I first looked at this team, I thought, okay, these are great scientists, but there's not going to be really anything that comes out of this team. Well, they've been the most active. And we have, this team has been on the news recently because they are going into our sewer systems and mapping out hotspots of COVID and then reporting that. This is a business, I believe, that can go forward. And in non-COVID times, I think there's interest to do discovery on opioid use and so forth in various neighborhoods. So I think it's a really viable business idea that we're now pushing forward together with the city of Chicago, with IDPH. We're also providing detailed data modeling methods so you can map these sort of things and discover best practices. So it's kind of an interesting offshoot of scientific research that's turned into a business. And so the third component of DPI is the ventures unit, where we're doing business building and then we're doing investment so that these companies can grow and thrive. And we're building out the ecosystem for the state of Illinois. I should also mention that DPI has a strong international reach. I know that we are active with several of the universities in Taiwan. I know that we have a relationship with GAZE, and I think that you know, as we lift things off the ground now, these international cooperations become extremely important. I think there is a relationship with some other international spots. I know Tel Aviv is an area that we're also speaking with now. But I think these international relationships become very important because you know, you can't just do everything from inside the state of Illinois. So I think international partners become very important to our mission.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. That was fascinating. We're now going to go to John Rossi. John is the Vice President for Strategic Marketing at ST Microelectronics. John.
Thank you very much for the invite to talk today. ST Microelectronics is a creator and maker of technology. For those of you that haven't heard of the company, we're one of the largest semiconductor manufacturers companies in the world. $10.2 billion. We employ 46,000 employees worldwide. We've got 80 offices, sales and marketing offices, and serve over 100,000 customers. Our manufacturing base is mainly in Europe and in Asia. We're unique in that we design, create semiconductors. We also manufacture semiconductors. We work in areas of smart mobility, power and energy, the Internet of Things and 5G, all the most important topics that we've been discussing throughout the forum today. Like I said, we have a global footprint with offices, research and development, sales and marketing, manufacturing, all over the world. The interest that I want to bring today in the discussion with Taiwan is in innovation. We have a strong DNA inside ST Microelectronics in the development of technologies and then the application of those technologies into platforms and in useful cases. We have been working on augmented reality, the capability to bring vision to a pair of glasses. We've been working in this technology. We have core technologies, micro mirrors that we develop, very specialized manufacturing capabilities. And I've been working on augmented reality with a team of engineers and professionals since 2018. And Taiwan is one of the key members in an alliance that we've developed, Mega One. A company in Taiwan is a key member of a laser alliance, which we developed in the fourth quarter of last year, and will enable us to bring vision systems to the masses, to real use cases and consumer level products. So, you know, I just want to reach out and say that, you know, Taiwan in a hub of innovation is very important for our company, and we want to continue to develop and work through that relationship. So thank you.
John, thank you so very much. We're now going to go to Cecile Shea. Cecile is a non-resident senior fellow at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs.
Thanks, and good morning, good evening, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Could I just ask what the plan is on scheduling? Because I believe we were scheduled to end in 3 minutes, so I'm just wondering.
Yes, well, but please feel free. We're going to run over a wee bit, so please feel free to make your comments. I believe you have 3 minutes to talk, so please feel free to take
3 minutes to talk. Okay,
yes.
So I will shorten my 7 minutes to 3 minutes, and I'll just get to the 200,000-pound elephant in the room, which is how I was going to conclude, which is a reminder of what an emergency in the Straits of Taiwan, to use the euphemism popular in my former profession, would mean for the global economy, because I think it's worth speaking about that. It would be obviously a disaster. It would be a far worse economic disaster than the one that we have seen because of COVID, not only because of the humanitarian disaster that it would mean for our friends in Taiwan, but it would lead to the shutdown of the Japanese economy. And what we saw after the Kobe earthquake, what's it been now, 25 years ago, and exactly 10 years ago in the midst of the triplet disaster in Toho, highly localized disasters in Japan cause a worldwide loss in GDP. So we can only imagine what would happen if there was no fuel getting to Japan, if Taiwan was forced to shut down. So then the question becomes, how do we avoid even tensions in the Straits of Taiwan, which would equally be humanitarian disasters, but also economic disasters, let alone something far worse. You know, until fairly recently, a lot of smart people, and I'm going to have to include myself in this, unfortunately, believed that dialogue with China and appealing to their better instincts and appealing to their own economy and building the economic ties between China and Taiwan would help avert this disaster. And what we're seeing is kind of in some ways the exact opposite. I'm not saying that there's going to be a Straits of Taiwan incident, but what we are seeing is that China, as Larry has said, it's nice to see Larry again. I spent a year at the Hoover Institute as a National Security Affairs Fellow, and he was always very generous with his time. But as Larry said, we have got to, at this point, stop allowing China to bully its own people and other people around the world. And it's not enough for the U.S. to do that. And I think that's my message here. We need a unified, cooperative effort among like-minded nations. And the reason for that is if one country decides to change its policies and start treating Taiwan as a normal country, something that I strongly advocate, China can retaliate. But if the US and the EU and Japan and Australia all come together and say, starting tomorrow, we're going to end these stupid games that we play with Taiwan, and we're going to let our diplomats go into your facilities, and we're going to let your diplomats come into our facilities, just as one example of a list of 30 that we could deal with. What's China going to do seriously? I mean, are they really going to retaliate against all of their major partners? I just am not sure. I don't think that they would. And I think the Biden administration is following this now with a unified action on the situation with the Uyghurs. And so I applaud the Biden administration for not going this alone. And what I am seeing is a lot of sympathy for Taiwan right now, not just in the US. And I'm so grateful that people are starting to see Taiwan for what it is, which is a really vibrant democracy in a world, one of the few democracies that is ending COVID as a stronger democracy than it began COVID. And so I am deeply, deeply appreciative of that at a time where we have had our own struggles in our own country, to be able to watch the way you handled last year's election and the way you have come together as a nation looking out for your neighbors at a time when there's been resistance to that in some other countries. It's been really inspiring to many of us. But this is not just happening in the US, it's happening in Japan and it's happening in Europe. So let's take advantage of it now. None of us are going to sit down at the WHO unless Taiwan is at the table. It's not just the US. No country is going to sit down there unless you are at the table. And I also think nationally, I think all the good nations of the world need to start passing legislation making it illegal for companies to call Taiwan as anything but Taiwan. You know, you can't say to a company or an NGO, you have to call Taiwan China, or we're going to pull all of our funding. They owe their their stockholders too much. It's a very hard decision, particularly for small companies and small NGOs, to make, as much pressure as the US may put on them. But if that company, whether it's a major Fortune 500 company or a tiny NGO in Chicago with 3 employees, could say, if we do that, the US will punish us, so we can't do that. We need to give companies cover for treating Taiwan the way that it deserves. That's just how a free market operates. So those are the 2 messages that I have. The time has come for us to stand up to China on key issues in a coordinated international way, not just to try to go it alone. That's not going to work. And the time has come to give companies that want to treat Taiwan the way it deserves to be treated the cover to be able to treat Taiwan the way that it deserves. I wish I had longer. I had some really scintillating stories about what COVID has meant for the RV industry in the Middle West, but maybe we'll be able to do this some other time, or maybe I'll write an op-ed now that I'm an expert on the RV industry in the Middle West. But I do want to say to our friends in Taiwan, thank you for inspiring us during this year. Thank you for showing us what a country can do and can be. And I certainly have redoubled my efforts to stand with you during what is a very tense time in our relationship with the mainland. So thank you very much.
Cecile, thank you so much. I will read that op-ed if you write it. So please do go ahead with that. And I also wish to thank you profusely for your comment, particularly the latter one, in respect to the interplay between Chinese pressure and the global business community. It is one that we have been wrestling with, frankly, since the late 90s, early 2000s. The most public early instance was the Credit Suisse First Boston issue. But for the past 20 years, the Chinese have made extraordinary efforts to pressure companies to advocate on behalf of their national interest, their national security as they see it. And it goes way beyond being inappropriate. And countries do need to provide companies support and cover so that they do not have to feel like they're being pressured by the Chinese. So thank you for that. That was a really timely comment. Jeff Pizzola is the COO, CFO of the American Kenda Rubber Industrial Company. Jeff, please, if you could say a few words, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Rupert. I would also, to start out, just like to thank everybody for inviting Kenda to be part of this. And I'd like to share a little bit about Kenda's story, both as a company that started in Taiwan and how this company is invested in North America. So I'm going to try to put up a PowerPoint here on the screen, and then I'll talk as we. So Kenda is different than we've talked about previously in this conversation this morning. Kenda is in the manufacturing of tires, so we're not in the semiconductor or electronics business. Kenda is a global, world-class company, tire manufacturing company, which is headquartered in Taiwan. We manufacture a variety of tires, including passenger car, light truck, bicycle, motorcycle, ATV, UTV, trailer. As Cecil said, in the RV industry, we're very large. Wheelchair tires and agriculture tires. So Kenda was started in Taiwan in 1962 by Chi Pao Yang, actually an elementary school teacher. And Mr. Yang started this company with some very core principles. Primarily, he focused on honesty, developing a quality product, providing outstanding service, and innovating in everything that we do. So Kenda's been in business for 60 years. As I said, we started in Taiwan. Our headquarters is in Yanlin. We started the company manufacturing primarily bicycle tires, and today the company has expanded beyond that. In 1989, the company invested in North America for the first time and opened our offices and opened a distribution facility in Columbus, Ohio, and have been here ever since. And the company continues to distribute its products here in North America from Columbus. As the company has continued to grow over the years, there's been additional investment both in China and in Taiwan, in almost all of the Asian countries. Today, the company operates 8 manufacturing facilities across the Asian continent. Here in the United States, the company saw America as a great market, and I want to talk about a little bit about the partnership with not only with our companies here in North America, but also with the United States government, and how together we've grown manufacturing jobs here in North America. So Kenda in 1996 opened an operation called Americana Tire and Wheel, which essentially is taking the wheels that the tires that Kenda manufactures overseas and mounting them on a wheel and selling them into, as Cecil noted, the RV market, the lawn and garden market, agriculture market, and anything that essentially uses a tire and wheel in North America. In 1998, though, the company made a decision that it can't only just import tires into North America. The company needed to be manufacturing and be more of a fabric and a part of North America. So in 1998, we bought a company called Martin Wheel, which is up in the Akron, Cleveland area. and is a distributor manufacturer of essentially steel wheels that go on a tire. The tire goes on. Kenda then continued to expand its manufacturing operations in North America since 1998, including the acquisition of a company in Atlanta, Georgia called Monitor Manufacturing. Today, Monitor and Martin Wheel both are world-class, very automated, high-skilled manufacturing facilities here in North America. In 2004, the company acquired another manufacturing company in North America called Dextar Wheel, which is in the state of Indiana in Elkhart. And that facility services the RV industry. In 2014, the company chose to expand its technical abilities in North America. So in partnership with various universities, including the University of Akron, we opened a technical center in Akron, Ohio. Today that technical center employs over 45 engineers. There is a very unique partnership between the American Engineering Technical Center and the engineering technical centers that we have in Taiwan, and including cooperation on the development of all types of tires, polymer development, and computer modeling involved in the development of tires. In 2013, with the help of our American team here, we focused on developing the same footprint we have in North America. We wanted to grow that same footprint in Europe. And so in 2013, we opened Kenda Europe. And in 2017, you'll see we acquired a company called Starco, which has a very similar footprint to what we do in America. And we're leveraging the expertise and the skills in North America in Europe as well as in Taiwan. To backstep a little bit, in America, the company has continued to grow, and I want to just share one story with everybody. The company that we've opened in Elkhart, Indiana, Dextar Wheel, which is a wheel manufacturing company, was after we acquired the company a few years later, there became immense pressure from imported subsidized wheels coming out of the country of China. With the help of congressional help in the state of Indiana, with the help of Secretary Ross, with significant communications with the Commerce Department as well as the International Trade Commission, we filed an anti-dumping countervailing petition against these imported wheels. We were successful in that endeavor. Today, that company has doubled its employee count. We've invested an additional $10 million in capital equipment in that company. We've expanded our customer base, and we're now making wheels for U.S. customers in America that used to be imported from China. So Kenda, one thing I will say about Kenda is the journey begins with Kenda in our world. Kenda in Taiwanese means ever growing. So the company continues to grow. The company continues to partner here in North America, leveraging our U.S. manufacturing, our U.S. technical skills here, along with our sister companies and parent company in Taiwan and also in Europe as we continue to grow Taiwanese companies' investment in North America. So with that said, I just want to give you a sense for some of the broad range of some of the products that are developed between our R&D center here in North America, as well as our technical centers in Taiwan.
Jeff, thank you so much for your colleagues. And certainly, not least, we're going to go to Jerry Lee right now. Jerry is the CEO for US Acrylic. Jerry, over to you, please.
Hey, Rupert. Hey, good morning, everyone. Rupert, can you hear me?
I can, Jerry. Yes, I can hear you and see you. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Hey, good morning, everyone. Before I get started, I'd like to thank TECO Chicago and the director for the invitation. We've done many great things together through the years, and we thank them for all their support in Chicago. Well, with the limited time we have this morning, I'll just give a quick recap of our perspective and experiences in working with many of our panelists have already brought up great reasons in working with Taiwan. I hope to add just a few more points to inspire further cooperation between Taiwan and the US. In the 1980s, my late father, he had a factory in Taiwan. He manufactured fireplace tool sets and accessories, imported them and sold them to Sears. These days, we take global supply chain. And back then, managing one was quite challenging. I remember him having a telex machine to communicate with Taiwan. Shortly after, it was replaced by the fax machine and even more quickly replaced by email. This morning, we are all having a global exchange of ideas while we are all thousands of miles. We're taking Zoom calls for granted, and we are connected in ways we couldn't have imagined. Even one short year, the world is changing. From telex to Zoom, from Sears to Amazon, the rate of change will only continue to accelerate. And this makes Taiwan more important than ever. I believe Taiwan can offer what we need most in our supply chains right now. It's reliability. So I'm Jerry Lee, CEO of US Acrylic, a specialized manufacturer of injection molded houseware products based in Libertyville, Illinois. We have worked with premium retailers in the US, such as Williams-Sonoma, Crate & Barrel, Nordstrom, and retailers with some of the biggest supply chains in the world, such as Walmart and Target. Tools, molds, materials, products from all over the world. However, our longest and deepest relationships are with our partners. They have helped us grow consistently and helped us improve year after year. For us, there are three important factors that have helped us develop these valuable: trust, ability to adapt, and the long-term mindset. So it goes without saying that trust is the most factor of any relationship. Taiwan, of course, is a strong that respects and protects intellectual property, but Taiwanese companies go beyond that. We trust our vendors to tell us exactly what they can do and exactly what they cannot do. If things go wrong, sometimes they expend a considerable amount of their own resources to honor their own commitments. And likewise, commitments to them are reciprocal. Adaptability. Taiwan is a small island country with an export-driven economy. So here's some quick facts. In 2019, the export to GDP ratio was 8%. It was 18% for China, and it exceeded 25% for Taiwan. This makes it imperative that Taiwan is always innovating and staying ahead of global trends and technologies. At US Acrylic, we always lean on our Taiwanese partners for the most difficult projects, and we have rarely been disappointed. So in the long term, Taiwan companies really take a long-term perspective on things. In today's world of instant gratification, when we meet with our suppliers in Taiwan regarding new projects, they take time to understand the long term. Most of our partners have also been through the ups and downs of many businesses with us. And through the years, these long-term partnerships create many operational advantages, but more importantly, we have also gained many lifelong friendships. So change is inevitable. Don't just react to it. Plan for it and do it with reliable. There's talent everywhere, not just in Taiwan, but from our 4 decades of experience in working with companies there. I'm confident that solutions to many of our supply chain problems and challenges can be found in Taiwan. So best of luck to everyone. Thank you again for the invitation.
Jerry, thank you so very much indeed. We had one more speaker, Vincent Wang, lined up, but Vincent had to step away. So that concludes the panel for this morning. I wish to thank all of this morning's panelists for a range of really excellent comments and insights that if we had more time, we would have an opportunity to weave together and perhaps get into a bit of Q&A. I'm deeply grateful to Johnson for his leadership and for his colleagues for all the time and effort that they've put in to arranging this morning's panel and this two-day conference. While we're wrapping up today with some comments from Johnson, do please feel free. In fact, please do join the TICO office tomorrow for another excellent panel of speakers and insights. Finally, just a personal appeal to sort of play off what many of our speakers noted. The importance of the US-Taiwan relationship transcends just commercial data. It embodies the democratic principles of two essential countries in the world. It is the technology prowess, again, that transcends data, and the imperative of working together, of secure supply chains, and of like-minded people who are friends, who want to continue to be friends and continue to partner around that friendship in improving the welfare of the people in our respective countries. So thank you so much indeed for joining us all today. Johnson, I'd like to hand it over to you with a thank you for the opportunity for having moderated this session this morning. I am grateful. We can't hear you, my friend. You're still on mute. Yeah, you got to push the button.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Rupert, for your masterful skill of moderating this grand panel of discussion. For me, I think it's eye-opening experience of learning so many good views from great speakers today. I want to share with you that, we just not only talk the talk, we're gonna walk the walk. So today is just the beginning. We will continue to do a kind of series of discussion about this to bring prosperity and the common values we all believe in. I mean, in terms of cooperation between Taiwan and US and global supply chains, it matters about the capital financial aspects. It involves about the talented people we have and educational programs and legal policy aspects. We have a well-established dialogue mechanism with the US. For example, as Rupert mentioned earlier, that we have an EPPD, Economic Prosperity Partnership Dialogue, and we will continue to do so. And here in Chicago office, our view is we hope we can work together with our colleagues in Washington, in Taipei, and here with our colleagues together to bring the policy outcomes we talk with the Biden administration going down to local, state, city levels to bring the fruits. So we will continue to work together with you, with business, with governments and academic research institutions. So thank you so much for your view, and we'll continue to do next day on agriculture products. So see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome. Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to the US-Taiwan Business Forum. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you to the US-Taiwan Business Forum webinar today.
Hi, everyone.
To discuss the
I'm
many
pleased
ways
to welcome you to the US-Taiwan Business Forum webinar today to discuss the many ways we can continue to strengthen the bilateral US-Taiwan relationship. I believe it is essential to promote engagement, bilateral trade, and investments between Taiwan and Illinois and other Midwestern states. Taiwan and other friends in the Indo-Pacific have proven time and again to be critical partners to the United States and specifically to my state of Illinois. Partners we have learned from and leaned on. As we adapt to a world that is ever more connected and adapt to an era in technology that allows us Taiwan is one of the top buyers of both corn and soybean from the United States. After years of an administration that refused to engage with our international partners,
economic and cultural engagements with the international community. I believe we are stronger and more secure when we work together with our allies and partners to confront challenges and work towards solutions together. We must work to strengthen our holistic relationships with Taiwan and work towards greater diplomatic and economic engagement.
Relationships with Taiwan and work towards greater diplomatic and economic engagement. I look forward to opportunities for cooperating and integration between the United States and Taiwan and potential ways to enhance an already strong bilateral economic partnership. Thank you and have a wonderful conference.
Hi, I'm Congressman Steve Shabbat, founder and co-chair of the Congressional Taiwan Caucus and the lead Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee's Asia and Pacific Subcommittee. I want to thank Director General Johnson Chang for inviting me to speak at this important event. The U.S.-Taiwan trade relationship continues to be strong. Taiwan is our 10th largest trading partner and the destination for over $30 billion in U.S. exports. Our relationship grew even stronger during the previous administration, and the ties between our two countries are now at an all-time high. I believe now is the time to deepen our economic partnership. One way to accomplish that would be to negotiate a free trade agreement between the U.S. and Taiwan. We've talked about it for a long time. It's actually time to do it. Now, let me turn to the two themes of this event, supply chains and agriculture. As countries and companies look to diversify their supply chains away from China, they should look to Taiwan as a reliable partner with a skilled workforce and a commitment to democratic values. Further, Taiwanese firms export goods from several countries in addition to Taiwan. Working with these manufacturers to source goods outside of China will be even more important as we seek to establish resilient supply chains. And Taiwan is a critical player in the global technology supply chain. This is particularly so with respect to semiconductors, which serve as the backbone for our digital lives. As free nations look to maintain their edge over China in emerging technologies, Taiwan's expertise and cooperation will be invaluable to that effort. With respect to agriculture, I'm pleased that this event is being held in the Midwest, since this part of the country is a key source of agricultural exports. My constituents in Southwest Ohio and folks throughout the Midwest appreciate the importance of trade to our economy. With that in mind, I want to commend President Tsai for removing long-standing barriers to U.S. beef and pork imports. This decision will enhance market access for farmers in the Midwest and reduce the price of high-quality agricultural products for Taiwanese consumers. We should take every opportunity to expand our trade ties. Restrictions on pork and beef were major obstacles to negotiations for a free trade agreement. It's critical that the U.S. take the opportunity given us by the Tsai administration to reach the long-sought goal of an FTA between the U.S. and Taiwan and beginning working towards one right now. With that in mind, I will be encouraging the new U.S. Trade Representative, Catherine Tai, who was just confirmed by the Senate, to act immediately to reciprocate Taiwan's gesture of goodwill. As a longtime supporter of the United States-Taiwan bilateral relationship, I believe now is an excellent opportunity to build on our growing ties, including in the economic sphere. I wish you all the best and hope that the discussions you have here will serve as a catalyst for even deeper links between our two peoples. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to join you for this important discussion. While I regret I can't join you all for today's forum in person, I'm honored to have the opportunity to highlight a few ways we can strengthen our political and economic ties in the year ahead. The forthcoming TSMC facility in Arizona is a great example of how Taiwan and the United States can work together to better secure our critical supply chains, particularly when it comes to semiconductors. And I look forward to building on this first step to increase our collective resilience across supply chains critical to our mutual defense in the years to come. The single most important step we can take right now, however, is to pursue a U.S.-Taiwan free trade agreement to take our economic relationship to the next level. A U.S.-Taiwan FTA would not only expand prosperity for both our nations, but also send a clear and unmistakable signal to the world that the United States stands by its friends in Taiwan. I hope that soon we can have these meetings in person in America, and that I can finally visit Taiwan and enjoy all that it has to offer. In the meantime, thank you sincerely for inviting me to speak. I'm excited for the tremendous promise of ever-expanding U.S.-Taiwan links. Thank you all.
Good morning and welcome to the Taiwan-US Business Forum in the Midwest webinar. I apologize I won't be able to join you all for the next couple of hours, but on behalf of Indiana, it is my pleasure to share a few words as you get started. Last month, I had a virtual meeting with Director General Johnson, not too long after he arrived in Chicago. And we shared a great conversation as I welcomed him to his new post. Both of us are looking forward to Indiana's and the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office continuing to strengthen and grow our economic relationship, including agricultural opportunities. Indiana and Taiwan are fortunate to share a long-standing, cherished relationship. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Indiana was the first state to establish a sister state relationship with Taipei. And that's something we're very proud of, and it was done by design. Today, our two-way trade relationship continues to be an important one for Indiana and the U.S. Indiana is home to more than 1,000 foreign-owned business operations, including 6 Taiwanese companies. And together they all support over 200,000 Hoosier jobs. And that is a number that continues to grow. The Indiana Corn Marketing Council and the Indiana Soybean Alliance signed a 2-year agreement to sell more than $2 billion worth of corn and soybean to Taiwan. And Indiana is very interested in exploring additional opportunities for economic and agricultural collaboration in the future as well. Last year, Indiana exported $207 million worth of goods to Taiwan, while importing more than $1 billion in goods from Taiwan. So as you can see, the importance of our relationship cannot be overstated. Not only is it critical to the overall health and prosperity of our economy, it's vital to the livelihood of Indiana's farming families. This partnership extends beyond the world of agriculture. Hoosier frontline workers and I across the state are so appreciative of your generosity that you showed us during the peak of the pandemic. The surgical masks and the N95 masks that you sent us last year were such needed gifts to help protect Hoosier frontline workers. It is so encouraging to see these acts of kindness as partners from all over the world step up to help one another. So thank you, Director General Johnson, for TECO's partnership. It is one of Indiana's best, and we do not take it for granted. I would like to close things by saying the Indiana-Taiwan relationship is built on mutual respect, shared values, economic success, and perhaps most of all, friendship. Thank you for your investment in Indiana, the Midwest, the United States, and in the lives of farmers nationwide. And I'm optimistic about what's in store for our two economies, and I look forward to building a brighter future together.
Hello, this is Iowa Lieutenant. Hello, this is Iowa Lieutenant Governor Adam Gregg. It's an honor to serve in this role, and it's an honor to speak before you today. Governor Kim Reynolds sends her regards. Thank you to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Chicago for organizing this event and for inviting me to address the audience. I've had the pleasure of enjoying a friendship with the Taipei delegation for a number of years. In late 2018, I had the honor of hosting a meeting, including a signing ceremony for a U.S. soybean purchase with the Taiwan Agricultural Trade Goodwill Mission. Obviously, the world has changed a great deal since then, and I don't think I need to convince anyone of that fact. But one thing that has remained constant is Iowa's commitment to cultivating a positive and mutually beneficial relationship with Taiwan. We've supported frequent exchanges of officials and trade and investment delegations. Iowa has maintained representation in Taiwan for several years, and we have certainly benefited from bilateral trade and investment exchanges between us. Taiwan is a small island, but mighty in its economic capacity. It has a high per capita income and high purchasing rate. Taiwan is located within a dynamic region of the world, and Taiwan's rule of law and adherence to sound trade principles are just two examples of our common ground and common values. These positive attributes have allowed both sides to enjoy a fruitful relationship. Taiwan is the 11th largest purchaser of Iowa products, and the U.S. is one of the top consumers of Taiwan-made goods. Taiwan's Formosa Group has major investments in Iowa manufacturing, and we applaud their success. Of course, none of this success would be possible without both sides identifying and encouraging areas of complementary cooperation. Just look at our connections in the area of agriculture, for example. We look forward to the discussion all of you will have during tomorrow's session, and we appreciate Taiwan's purchases of Iowa's varied manufactured goods. In closing, I'd like to thank the organizers of this forum once again for bringing us together to celebrate the close relationship we have with Taiwan. I welcome the day when we can be together again in person to exchange ideas and explore new ways to strengthen this long-standing friendship. Thank you.